Chapter 1911. Although it was very difficult, when the sound of Qin Wentian's voice faded, several gazes turned to a certain figure. Qin Wentian seemed to have sensed something and also glanced over. After that, his gaze landed on the Kuan sovereign. The true form of the Kuan sovereign was a Kunpeng. He was also known as the Lord of the Sky. "Are you sure you want to go out?" The heaven-devouring demon sovereign spoke, his tone cold. Qin Zheng actually dragged his demon god mountain into this as well, threatening him together. This was simply ridiculous. Qin Wentian glanced at Luo Shenchuan. Before this, he didn't expect Qin Zheng to do this. Because of Qin Zheng's threat, he could ignore it. The Luoshan clan once abandoned him, allowing Qin Zhong to hunt him down. Luoshan Mu was their leader and they basically didn't acknowledge him as a descendant of the Luoshan clan. Since this was the case, he could completely disregard their bloodline. As for the Qingqing realm, it had nothing to do with him. If he wanted to use the Qingqing realm to threaten him, given how vast the Qin clan was, how could they threaten the Qin clan? Qin Zheng's threat was because he couldn't think of any other solution. Hence, as long as there was a connection to him, he would use it to threaten him. This basically didn't seem like something a heavenly deity would do, let alone the fact that he was the Qin clan leader. But clearly his bottom line was much lower than what Qin Wentian imagined. As for Azure Mystic, it was still in a sealed state. No one knew how determined Qin Zheng's words were. Hence, Qin Wentian could ignore Qin Zheng's threat and continue to cultivate in peace. Even if the people outside used divine formations to seal the heaven vault, what use would it be? He would cultivate in the heaven vault for tens of thousands of years. He didn't believe that these people would continue to guard it. However, Qin Wentian was Qin Wentian after all. As long as there was a solution, he wouldn't want to implicate innocent people. This was especially so for the people of Azure Mystic. Qin Wentian nodded to the heaven-devouring demon sovereign. "Kuan, if you act, how confident are you?" The heaven-devouring demon sovereign stared at the Kuan sovereign as he asked. No one was more suitable than the Kuan sovereign. The Kuan sovereign was one of the 5 demon sovereigns. The Tao of the Kunpeng was incomparably powerful and could soar through the 9 heavens and 10 earths, unrestrained by the heavenly Taos. As long as I break through the God formation and poison barrier, none of those people will be able to stop me. The Kuan sovereign confidently said. In terms of strength, he might not be able to defeat those peak experts. But in terms of speed, he was confident that even Qin Zheng and the others wouldn't be able to stop him. This was one of the 5 great demon lords, the Kuan sovereign. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. The demon god mountain only had 5 heavenly deities, but they were known as the 5 demon sovereigns. Back then, when the divine Ox clan admitted defeat, the 5 demon sovereigns of the demon god mountain definitely had their own outstanding points. Demonic beasts had their own areas of expertise. Even if they were able to comprehend the Tao, it was also related to the innate talent of their race. Since there are people who want to make a move against our demon god mountain, let's teach them a lesson. The heaven-devouring demon sovereign spoke coldly. "I will go out with you." Including me, the Che clan's heavenly deities haven't even stabilized their divine formations and you want to kill us now? The dragon sovereign stood out as well, speaking coldly. "Leave the poison barrier to me." The heaven-devouring demon sovereign spoke, his eyes cold. Even the demon god mountain was used to threaten them. He couldn't endure this any longer. "I will accompany seniors out." Qin Wentian spoke. "Me too." Luo Shenchuan spoke. In the outside world, there were many peak experts of the supreme ancient immortal realms guarding there. Yet, they were actually planning to leave. How audacious of them. "Let's make our preparations now." The Kuan sovereign spoke. He reverted to his original form and in an instant, a terrifying Kuan rock appeared. His body shone with the resplendent light, as though there was Tao might contained within. Qin Wentian felt that this was a little strange. The dragon sovereign transformed into a giant. His entire body was filled with explosive energy as boundless golden light radiated from him. At this moment, he had a violet gold crown on his head and was clad in violet gold robes, resembling a supreme dragon god. He stretched out his hand as a violet gold claw manifested. Terrifying energy gushed forth from it, He had already prepared to unleash it when he was in the heaven vault. In this case, once he left the heaven vault, he would be able to erupt forth with his strongest might. The old dragon and I will destroy the divine formations for you. You just need to focus on advancing. The heaven-devouring demon sovereign spoke. Leave the poison gas to me. Qin Wentian spoke. Everyone nodded. They long knew that the bloodline of the Qin clan had the ability to purify everything and was immune to all poisons. Since Qin Wentian wanted to go out with them, the corrosive power of the poison would naturally be left to Qin Wentian. Right now, Qin Wentian was already strong enough to be independent. They would no longer treat Qin Wentian as a junior. He was in existence on the same level as them. Right now, Qin Wentian's bloodline power gushed forth, fusing into the light, enveloping the Kuan rock and the experts on the Kuan sovereign's back. In addition, the bloodline power seemed to be infused with the light of the formation. It was like as long as Qin Wentian willed it, his defense could be strengthened at any time. Senior Kuan sovereign, are you ready? Qin Wentian asked. Yes. The Kuan sovereign spoke in a heavy voice. Let's move out. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. The light around the gigantic body of the Kuan sovereign grew increasingly resplendent. His silhouette flashed with inconceivable speed, and almost at the same instant, the heaven vault opened. In the outside world, the gazes of everyone were still focused on the divine formation as well as the towering poison gas. At this moment, a crack appeared in the sky as a gigantic figure appeared from within. Emichim? The eyes of the experts flashed, all of them froze for a moment. After that, their eyes gleamed with sharpness. The divine formation that sealed the sky erupted with heaven-shaking might. Boundless destructive light shot out, directly shooting into the heaven vault. However, a roar of rage rang out, sounding like the roar of a dragon. The shadow of numerous divine dragons appeared in the air, revolving around them. An incomparably terrifying violet-gold divine dragon appeared in the center. He was like a dragon god, lofty, the lord of heaven and earth. His palms transformed into sharp claws as he slashed out. In an instant, a gigantic claw attack appeared in the sky, tearing apart the heavens and earth, ignoring the distance between them as it directly slammed into the divine formation. In an instant, the divine formation trembled unstably, and after that, it started to crumble apart. Even the sky seemed to be trembling. Within the divine formation, numerous dragon shadows actually appeared, frenziedly destroying the divine formation. At the same instant when the dragon sovereign attacked, the heaven-devouring demon sovereign reverted to his true form. An incomparably gigantic heaven-devouring demon beast appeared. He opened his mouth and swallowed the countless beams of light from the divine formation into his stomach. The heavens and earth trembled violently as the divine formation collapsed in an instant. Boundless poison gas gushed out, transforming into a poison world that wanted to devour everyone who exited the heaven vault. The Kuan sovereign directly rushed into the poison world, and in the next instant, he exited it, ignoring the power of the poison world. The terrifying poison gas still clung onto the Kuan sovereign, but everyone could see that the poison gas was blocked by a barrier of light around them, being purified bit by bit. But at this moment, the other hegemonic characters also acted. Before this, they created a divine formation and a poison world to envelop the heaven vault. They didn't expect that Qin Wentian and the others would actually dare to come out. This was why they didn't immediately enter the heaven vault. However, since Qin Wentian and the others dared to come out, it wouldn't be so easy for them to leave. A divine formation appeared in the sky as divine punishment light instantly locked onto the Kuan sovereign and the figure on his back. Kill! Qin Jing didn't hesitate. As the sound of his voice faded, the divine punishment light descended from the sky. However, at the same instant, the Kuan sovereign's body directly arced through the air. The divine punishment light didn't land on the Kuan sovereign but blasted towards the boundless sea instead. In an instant, the boundless sea seemed to have been pierced through as a vacuum abyss appeared, connecting to the seabed. In fact, even the seabed itself was pierced through. The Kuan sovereign's gigantic body directly tunneled into the void. His body turned illusory, flickering in and out of existence, as though he wasn't under the control of any energy. Numerous figures moved at the same time. A lightning region appeared, transforming into a world of lightning. The 9 heavenly thunderbolts frenziedly blasted towards the Kuan sovereign. Even if the Kuan sovereign was in the void, he wouldn't be able to escape. There were also heavenly deities from the prison god clan who acted. They sealed the space, creating an absolute space, wanting to trap the Kuan sovereign within and capture these figures who exited the heaven vault. The dragon sovereign, Luo Shenchuan, Qin Wenyin and the others all unleashed their attacks, blocking the attacks from the Kuan sovereign. The gigantic Kuan rock's body was still flashing with heavenly Dao light. Every time it flapped its wings, Dao might would be contained within. With a single flap, it traversed the lightning region, and with another flap, it traversed the absolute space. There was no spatial energy that could trap it. What a terrifying speed! The eyes of everyone flashed. The Kuan sovereign's body had already vanished into the clouds. Even the spatial energy that enveloped the heavens and earth had no way to obstruct him. Many heavenly deities chased after the Kuan sovereign. Terrifying energy waves churned in the air, but it didn't take long before everything calmed down. Very swiftly, those hegemonic characters returned here with ashen expressions. The hegemonic characters from the various hegemonic powers joined forces, but they still failed to obstruct the Kuan sovereign. This was definitely a very shameful matter. As for ordinary heavenly deities, they basically didn't even have the qualifications to touch the Kuan sovereign. To many people, this was the first time they fought against the Kuan sovereign head-on. They finally understood why, although the Kuan sovereign wasn't a peak-stage heavenly deity, in terms of speed, there were only a few in the supreme ancient immortal realms who could be compared to the Kuan sovereign. Also, what was truly terrifying was the Dao the Kuan sovereign comprehended after combining the innate talent of the Kuan rock. He was able to traverse all spatial energy and world energy, ignoring all Dao obstructions. It was precisely because of this ability that the Kuan sovereign dared to say that no one would be able to trap him. Bastard! Qin Zheng coldly spoke. He gathered all the experts here and even used a divine formation to seal the heaven vault. But he didn't expect that Qin Wenyan and the others would actually walk out so openly and soar through the void. Although they could continue chasing, they understood that it was useless when they saw the Kuan sovereign's speed. They wouldn't be able to catch up to him. At this moment, the Kuan sovereign and the others were already very far away. In the clouds, the Kuan sovereign slowed down and spoke, "No one is chasing us anymore. Kuan, you are injured." The heaven-devouring demon sovereign spoke. On the gigantic body of the Kuan sovereign, there were many traces of blood. "Don't worry about it." The Kuan sovereign spoke in a low voice. Back then, there were so many violent attacks. Although everyone acted together to block them for him, he was still injured when he traversed the Dao. But even so, it didn't affect his speed. Right now, the sky is as high as a bird. If these people wanted to deal with their demon god mountain, they had better be prepared to pay the price. Chapter 1912. Where should we go now? In the air, the Kuan sovereign who was shuttling through the clouds asked. "Let's go to the desolate region." Qin Wenyan spoke. The demon god mountain and Luoshan clan were both in the desolate region. After they exited, their first destination would naturally be the desolate region. Naturally, other than the demon god mountain and Luoshan clan, there was also the divine ox clan. Even if we go to the desolate region, it wouldn't be so easy for us to bring people back to the heaven vault. At the very least, it would be extremely difficult for us to do so within a short period of time. Luo Shenchuan spoke in a heavy voice. Everyone naturally understood this logic. Although they managed to barge their way out of the heaven vault, if they wanted to return, the difficulty would be even greater. The experts from the various powers all knew that they were outside. How could they not guard the heaven vault? Ancient, there's no way for us to bring people back. Since those people threatened us once, there would surely be a second time. The heaven-devouring demon sovereign nodded. After we return, let's temporarily disband the demon god mountain. When the time is right, we will gather all the demons in the desolate region to come to the heaven vault to join us. I believe at that time, as long as the heaven vault gives a command, all the demons would definitely come to join us. The dragon sovereign spoke. The eyes of the heaven-devouring demon's sovereign and Kuan's sovereign flashed. It seemed like there was no other solution. If they didn't want to be threatened, they could only temporarily give up their headquarters. If not, if Qin Jing threatened them once, there would surely be a second time. Grandfather, what about the Luoshan clan? Qin Wendian glanced at Luoshan Chuan. I will inform the elders on the Luoshan mountain about what happened outside the heaven vault. Let them decide for themselves. I have no way to control their thoughts. Luoshan Chuan spoke. Many of those who were willing to follow him were already in the heaven vault. As for the others, they were either followers of Luoshan Mu or they didn't want to leave the Luoshan mountain. But now, Qin Jing used the Luoshan mountain to threaten them. In that case, there was a high possibility that he would act against the Luoshan clan. Naturally, he wouldn't allow Qin Wendian to start a war against the Qin clan for the sake of the Luoshan mountain. Even if he was Qin Wentian's grandfather, there was no reason for him to say such words. Back then when the Qin clan wanted to deal with Qin Wendian, the Luoshan clan chose to abandon Qin Wendian. He left alone to fight against heavenly deity Qin Zhong. Not only did the Luoshan clan not save him, they even stopped him from going there. Under such a situation, Qin Wendian was willing to take in the people of the Luoshan clan who followed him. This was already because of the blood ties between them. Since the Luoshan clan wasn't willing to acknowledge his existence, Qin Wendian naturally wouldn't have any relationship with the people on the Luoshan mountain. There was no reason for him to fight for them. As his grandfather, he also couldn't say such words. He could only inform the people on the Luoshan mountain and let them decide for themselves. At the same time, what he could do was to do some things outside to deter Qin Zheng and the others. Right. Qin Wendian nodded. The Kuan sovereign continued shuttling through the air, heading towards the desolate region. On the Luoshan mountain, the people of the Luoshan clan already learned of what happened in the Boundless Sea region. Luoshan Chuan also sent news over. At this moment, on the main peak of the Luoshan mountain, many experts of the Luoshan clan gathered together. Many of them had heavy expressions on their faces. For example, Luoshan Mu. His expression was the most unsightly. This time around, we are all implicated by Luoshan Chuan and that vile spawn. Luoshan Mu coldly spoke. From his point of view, they were implicated by Luoshan Chuan and Qin Wendian. They first caused the Luoshan clan to split apart and now, the Qin clan even used the Luoshan clan to threaten them. It's meaningless to say all this now. What should we do next? An old man spoke. In truth, some of them were already wavering. If they followed Luoshan Chuan back then, they would already be cultivating in the heaven vault. As long as they didn't exit, there wouldn't be any danger. Everyone, what do you all think? Luoshan Chuan asked. Luoshan Chuan said that he would sound a warning to those major powers outside, causing them to feel trepidation. However, we have no idea how effective it would be. As long as the Luoshan mountain exists, the other powers might attack at any moment. Also, once Qin Jing joined forces with the other major powers, what we would have to face wouldn't just be the Qin clan alone. At that time, it would definitely be a calamity of annihilation. Hence, we have to be on guard. An old heavenly deity spoke. Everyone had heavy expressions on their faces. Some people sighed in their hearts. Actually, ever since Luoshan Mu became the clan leader, the Luoshan clan has always been suffering from all sorts of humiliation. It was the Luoshan clan and Qin Wendian who helped the Luoshan clan regain face. This included killing their way to the Divine Ox clan to stop Devilox from marrying a young lady of the Luoshan clan and even killing Devilox. Now, they even asked the Qin clan for Luoshan Han and the 10 world overlords. It was precisely because of this that many experts have already followed Luoshan Chuan to the Heaven Vault. Right now, the Luoshan clan didn't even have half of their original strength. They couldn't see any hope at all. On the contrary, the young man whom the Luoshan clan despised back then, the son of Luoshan Qianxue, Qin Wendian, the young man whom they abandoned, has already grown to a shocking extent. His name shook the supreme ancient immortal realms and he controlled the entrance to the Heaven Vault, allowing people to cultivate in the 9 heavenly layers. From him, they could see hope. Right now, that young man was fighting against all the experts in the supreme ancient immortal realms. How glorious was this! Even his father back then couldn't do this. Back then, the Divine Ox clan once migrated for the sake of refuge. Someone spoke. After that, the expressions of everyone sank. Migrating, what a tragic decision this was. If that's the case, would the Luotian clan still be the Luotian clan? Someone asked. If that's the case, at the very least, the strength of the Luotian clan would still be united. It's better than disbanding, right? Or maybe we can pretend that nothing has happened and gamble that the Qin clan wouldn't act against the Luotian mountain. That person who spoke coldly spoke, causing everyone to be speechless. Why don't we look for Luotian Chuan and unite the strength of the Luotian clan once again? Another person spoke. After that, numerous cold gazes turned to the person who spoke. This was especially so for Luotian Mu. Right now, those in power on the Luotian mountain had all offended Luotian Chuan. To put it nicely, they were going to look for Luotian Chuan. To put it bluntly, they were going to seek refuge with Luotian Chuan. How could they accept this? After fighting for so many years, they finally gained control of the Luotian clan. Yet, they still wanted to seek refuge with Luotian Chuan? Migrate. Luotian Mu coldly spoke. As the sound of his voice faded, the hearts of everyone trembled. There were still countless people on the Luotian mountain. When they learned of this news, all of them were shocked speechless. The Luotian clan had actually fallen to such a state? Some people didn't agree. They would rather seek refuge with Luotian Chuan. The entire Luotian clan was in a state of chaos. Someone sighed. If they knew this would happen, why would they act in the past? From now onwards, the power led by Luotian Chuan could truly represent the Luotian clan. The Luotian clan only existed in name. Different from the Luotian clan, the Demon God Mountain's decision was to temporarily disband. There were countless demonic beasts in the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms, and it was very simple for them to live in the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms. In addition, the 5 demon sovereigns believed that they would grow stronger one day. At that time, with just a single command, the demonic beasts on the Demon God Mountain would naturally return. There was basically no need for them to migrate. In the desolate region, in the majestic Divine Ox Castle, experts were as common as clouds. This was one of the 3 hegemonic powers of the desolate region, the Divine Ox clan. Although in the perspective of the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms, they couldn't be considered a peak power. However, they were filled with ambition and fantasized that one day, they would be the first to rule the desolate region. Once, they married the 3 beauties of the Luotian clan and were extremely pleased with themselves. They thought that they would soon be able to rule the desolate region, but a calamity occurred. Luotian Chuan joined forces with the Demon God Mountain and the 5 demon sovereigns descended. Devilox was killed and his Dao bone was seized. However, the Divine Ox clan still believed that they were still the strongest power in the desolate region. They would rule the desolate region sooner or later. At this moment, in the airspace above the Divine Ox Castle, a raging wind gusted as black clouds covered the sky. In the air, an incomparably gigantic figure appeared. This figure was so large that it blotted out the sky. It was a supremely gigantic beast. As it flapped its wings, the raging winds were like the sharpest blades, lacerating the earth. The entire sky was filled with a scene of doomsday. Kuan-Peng. The Kuei Ox of the Divine Ox clan naturally recognized the Kuan-Peng. Kuan Sovereign. A cold voice rang out. A few ox deities soared into the air and stared at the descending figure. Why did you come to my Divine Ox clan? A ox deity asked. We didn't teach the Divine Ox clan a lesson for the matters in the past. Your chieftain actually dared to instigate the other hegemonic powers to act against my Demon God Mountain in the Boundless Sea. Since this is the case, I will let the Divine Ox clan remember this forever. The Kuan Sovereign coldly spoke. After that, a few figures walked down from the gigantic body of the Kuan Sovereign. They were none other than the Dragon Sovereign and the Heaven-Devouring Demon Sovereign. Both of them reverted to their true forms, exuding a fearsome might. Qin Wenin and Luotian Chuan floated in the air with cold expressions on their faces. Let's start with the Divine Ox clan and warn the other hegemonic powers of the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms. The Kuan sovereign's wings flapped as he slashed out. In an instant, 2 heavenly blades slashed down, lacerating the earth. The divine ox castle was torn apart. The vast region seemed to have been severed. Below, countless experts from the divine ox clan screamed in agony as they stared at the figures in the air in terror. Right now, the divine ox clan only had 3 ox deities. The other heavenly deities all followed the chieftain to the boundless sea region and have yet to return. They were still fantasizing about entering the heaven vault, or maybe they were still waiting for Qin Wenyin. However, Qin Wenyin had already killed his way into their territory. Kill these 3 ox deities and treat it as a warning. Qin Wenyin calmly spoke. His target was the heavenly deities. Heavenly deities were the true peak powers. The others weren't that important. Keeping them alive would serve as a warning. The heaven-devouring demon sovereign nodded, understanding Qin Wentian's intentions. Although the demon god mountain was disbanded, the demons were still around. If he wanted to make the divine ox clan feel some trepidation, there was no need for them to annihilate the divine ox clan. If the divine ox clan didn't want to be annihilated, they wouldn't dare to act recklessly and deal with the demons of the demon god mountain. 5 heavenly deities acted together to deal with 3 ox deities. No matter how one looked at it, there was no suspense at all. The 3 ox deities exchanged mutual glances before they directly turned and left. "Do you think you can leave?" Qin Wentian coldly spoke. As the sound of his voice faded, his eyes turned extremely terrifying, transforming into the heavenly eyes. The space before him twisted as the space before him revolved frenziedly, enveloping the entire space within it. After that, it transformed into his world of time and space. The expressions of the 3 ox deities turned ashen. Was this the method Qin Wenyin used to easily defeat the 2 heavenly deities of the Qin clan? He could create a space-time world with a single glance. Chapter 1913. In the boundless sea region, below the heaven vault, the experts were still there, including the hegemonic characters of the various hegemonic powers. Although Qin Wentian and the others stepped out of the heaven vault, could it be that they would never return again? Clearly, it was impossible. The ox chieftain was here as well. But at this moment, a voice suddenly rang out in his mind, causing the ox chieftain to erupt forth with a heaven-shaking aura. He roared in rage, "Bastard!" In an instant, countless gazes turned to him as bewilderment could be seen on their faces. "Chieftain, what happened?" Qin Jing asked. The ox chieftain actually had such a huge reaction. Qin Wenyin, Luo Shenchuan and the Kuan sovereign, the 3 demon sovereigns, went to my divine ox castle. The ox chieftain's body trembled. He didn't move. At this moment, it was impossible for him to rush back. Right now, he could only pray. But in truth, he also understood in his heart that given the strength of Qin Wenyin and the others, the strength of the divine ox castle was far from enough. Their ending would be extremely miserable. When he thought of what might happen, his heart pounded unceasingly. If it wasn't for his mental fortitude, his body would probably be trembling. He was afraid, truly afraid. Even if he was the ox chieftain, he was also afraid. The divine ox castle was the foundation of his divine ox clan. There were his descendants. Now that Qin Wenyin and the others killed their way over, what would the fate of the divine ox castle be like? The eyes of the hegemonic powers flashed. Those experts who acted against the heaven vault all felt worry in their hearts. Qin Wenyin and the others were taking revenge. This was a form of threat to them. Now that he went to the divine ox castle, would his group go to the other powers? Seems like Qin Wentian's words earlier have stimulated Qin Wenyin. Many people silently mused. Using the divine formation and poison world to seal the heaven vault and also wanting to deal with the Luotian clan and Qingqing realm, Qin Wenyin and the others took the risk and barged out, starting to take revenge. "Chieftain, don't be anxious. They shouldn't dare to act ruthlessly against the divine ox castle. If not, wouldn't Chieftain go and kill them?" Qin Jing calmly spoke. He wanted nothing more than for the ox chieftain to do those things, to deal with the Luotian clan and massacre the Qingqing realm. If that's the case, these sins wouldn't have to be placed on him. As for the Qin clan, although he was a little worried, it was still fine. The Qin clan wasn't something the Divine Ox clan could be compared to. Qin Ding was still guarding the Qin clan. If Qin Wenyan dared to go there, it wouldn't be so easy for him to leave. The Ox chieftain had an unsightly expression on his face as his anger seethed. Qin Wenyan didn't dare to deal with the Qin clan, yet he chose to vent his anger on the Divine Ox clan. Did he think that the Divine Ox clan was so easy to bully? Everyone looked at him, waiting for the follow-up news. Not long after, the Ox chieftain roared in rage. He transformed into a true ox god as his terrifying aura swept through the heavens and earth. Qin Wenyan, Luo Shenchuan, I will definitely kill the two of you. The Ox chieftain roared in rage. The news has already been transmitted back. The three heavenly deities guarding the Divine Ox Castle have all fallen. Other than this, the Divine Ox Castle was destroyed and many experts from the Divine Ox clan died miserably. Before Qin Wenyan and the others left, they left behind a message, telling the Ox clan to stay in the Divine Ox Castle for now. If the Divine Ox clan still had the intention to deal with the Demon God Mountain and Luoshan clan, they wouldn't be so polite next time. Qin Wenyan and the others didn't directly raise the Divine Ox Castle to flat ground because the Luoshan clan, Demon God Mountain and Qingqing Realm were still around. It wasn't that they didn't have any reservations. This time around, they killed the three heavenly deities and threatened the Divine Ox clan, making them be more obedient. Naturally, this was also a threat to the other hegemonic powers. This was telling the other hegemonic powers that if they wanted to do as Qingjing said, they better be prepared to suffer the wrath of the Ox clan. After that, more news came from the desolate region. The three heavenly deities of the Divine Ox clan were killed and the Divine Ox Castle was destroyed. Many ox demons died. Before Qin Wenyan left, he left behind a threat. At the same time, the Luoshan Mountain also migrated. The experts of the Luoshan Mountain all left the Luoshan Mountain. It was unknown where they would head to. Naturally, there were also some who were unwilling to leave and chose to stay behind. The internal affairs of the Luoshan Mountain were shaken once more. However, the Luoshan clan on the Luoshan Mountain no longer existed in name. Everyone understood that the true representative of the Luoshan clan was still the branch led by Luo Shenchuan. Not only for the Luoshan Mountain, on a single day, the countless demonic beasts on the Demon God Mountain all suddenly left the Demon God Mountain, heading towards various locations in the desolate region. The Demon God Mountain disintegrated. From now on, the three hegemonic powers of the desolate region were all shaken. The Luoshan Mountain migrated, the Demon God Mountain disintegrated, the Divine Ox clan was attacked, and even the Divine Ox Castle was destroyed. The desolate region instantly fell into chaos. Many hegemonic powers saw hope and started to expand. Many powerful characters came out of seclusion and entered the desolate region to vie for supremacy, preparing to become the new hegemon. In a short period of time, the desolate region entered a period of chaos as battles erupted unceasingly. And at the same time when the desolate region was in chaos, news suddenly circulated out from the Earth region saying that there were experts who saw the Kuan sovereign in the Earth region. The Kuan sovereign was flying in the air, blotting out the sun. For a period of time, the hegemonic powers of the Earth region all started to feel nervous. And also on the day the Kuan sovereign appeared, a few experts from the Thunder clan of the desolate region went missing. They were abducted and their whereabouts were unknown. Several days later, news of their deaths spread out. It was rumored that this was done by Qin Wenyan and the Kuan sovereign. This was revenge for the Thunder clan acting against them back then. However, they didn't act openly against the Thunder clan. This could be considered a small warning. The experts from the hegemonic powers of the Earth region all returned from the Heaven Vault, leaving behind only one or two heavenly deities in the Boundless Sea region. The other experts were preparing to return to their clans to deal with the danger. However, after they returned, everything was calm and nothing happened. However, the seed of a threat had already been planted. After that, there were people who said that they saw the Kuan sovereign in the Ian region. There were also people who said that they saw the Kuan sovereign in the Flood region. In any case, the experts from the hegemonic powers who acted against Qin Wenyan back then all returned to their clans as a precaution. The lesson from the Divine Ox clan was there for all to see. None of the hegemonic powers dared to be careless. He didn't expect Qin Wenyan to use such a method to resolve the predicament of the Heaven Vault. As for why he threatened Qin Wenyan to deal with the Qingqing realm of the Luotian clan, right now, the Luotian clan has already migrated and the Demon God Mountain has disintegrated. He didn't really feel that the Qingqing realm would be able to threaten Qin Wenyan. In truth, there was no need to deal with the Qingqing realm. That was merely a region governed by Qin Wenyan. As for the remaining Azure Mystic, the ban was still there. No one knew what the consequences would be if they wanted to enter the Azure Mystic Immortal realms. Time flowed by. The people of the Boundless Sea region all knew that if they continued to stay here, Qin Wenyan wouldn't walk into the trap unless they sent experts to search for him. However, the other party had 5 heavenly deities. They would need an extremely powerful army of heavenly deities to deal with them. Also, even if they could deal with them, with the Kuan sovereign around, who would be able to stop them? It was too difficult. Many people's patience was being ground away bit by bit. Dang Tian, the date of your wedding is getting closer. Let's go to the Chu clan and let Chu Shen and Nikhang make their preparations. Today, Qin Jing spoke. Back then, Qin Ding personally went to the Chu clan to set the date of the wedding. It was already very close now. Seems like the matter of the Heaven Vault could only be temporarily tossed aside. Father, for the wedding of Nikhang, I wish to invite all the hegemonic powers of the supreme ancient immortal realms. Qin Dang Tian spoke. He was the Heaven's son. How could his wedding with goddess Nikhang be ordinary? He had to attract the attention of the entire world. Okay, leave it to me and your mother to handle it. We will definitely make this wedding a grand affair. Qin Jing nodded. His talent was outstanding, but he only had a single son. This son of his was so outstanding, there was no need for him to have a second son. All his hopes were placed on Qin Dangtian. As they spoke, they headed towards the Chu residence. Chu Shen still welcomed them, but his attitude wasn't as warm as before. Qin Jing didn't mind it. Nikhang, the date of our wedding will be in a few more days. During this wedding, I want all the women in the world to be envious of you. Qin Dangtian arrogantly spoke. He had the qualifications to do so. He was the Heaven's son, the future leader of the Qin clan. How grand would his wedding be? Goddess Nikhang was cold. She didn't say anything. Qin Dangtian was long used to her personality. It was precisely because of this that he could enjoy the joy of conquering her. After a few more days, this iceberg-like beauty, the #1 beauty in the heaven region, would become his woman. After the banquet, Qin Zheng and Qin Dangtian left. Nikhang, have you thought things through? Chu Shen asked Goddess Nikhang. What can I do? Goddess Nikhang softly spoke. Breaking the wedding? This was something they personally agreed to. Breaking the wedding, especially the wedding of Qin Dangtian, the Heaven's son of the Qin clan. There was no need for her to say anything, they all understood the consequences. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have allowed you to choose yourself back then. I would have rejected it for you. Chu Shen sighed, feeling somewhat helpless. Back then, he didn't persuade Nikhang because he wanted a good ending. Nikhang was married to Qin Dangtian and would become the mother of the Qin clan in the future. He naturally hoped for his granddaughter to live a good life. However, as Qin Wenyan appeared, as well as the news of Chu Mo, Chu Shen gradually changed his mind. But since he already agreed to it, it was easier said than done if he wanted to break the wedding. Most probably, even if Chu Mo was here, it would be very difficult for him to do so. After Qin Jing returned to the Qin clan, he started to send out invitations. Many peak powers in the supreme ancient immortal realms all received invitations from the Qin clan. Heaven's son Qin Dangtian and the #1 beauty in the heaven region, Goddess Nikhang. Their wedding invitations. Right now, Qin Wenyan was in the heaven region. Also, most probably, no one knew that Qin Wenyan wasn't just in the heaven region. He was in Qin City, the base of the Qin clan. He was in Qin City and naturally received the news immediately. After learning that the wedding between Qin Dangtian and Nikhang was nearing, he couldn't help but to sigh in his heart. Chapter 1914. Qin City. This was the first time Qin Wenyan stepped into this ancient majestic city. Most probably, the people of the Qin clan would never have imagined that Qin Wenyan would actually dare to step into this place. Walking on the incomparably bustling streets, Qin Wenyan could truly sense how powerful this Qin city was. Even world overlords weren't rare here, and they could occasionally see the Qin clan, a peak power of the heaven region. From this, one could very well imagine how prosperous Qin city was. Father should have left his footprints here, right? Qin Wenyan silently mused. His father was born in the Qin clan and grew up in the Qin clan. When he was young, he would definitely frequently walk around this city. Now, he was here as well, feeling the charm of this city. Walking in the city, his gaze turned towards the central area. Over there, he could see a Qin palace that towered up into the sky. Over there was the Qin clan. No matter which corner of Qin city you were in, as long as you lifted your head, you would be able to see the Qin palace. Because the Qin palace was simply too vast, boundlessly vast. It was said that the Qin palace was even more vast compared to the other regions of Qin city. There were many castles within, and the cultivators of the various bloodlines of the Qin clan resided there. At this moment, there were saint beasts galloping through the air. On top of the saint beasts, there were several figures. The person in the lead was a young man and a young woman. The young man was incomparably handsome, exuding magnificence through the generations. The young woman was extremely beautiful, causing the hearts of people to pound with a single glance. However, the people of Qin city didn't dare to have any improper thoughts because they knew the identities of these people. They were from the Qin palace. Qin Yen, Qin Lan. It said that they went to the Nine Heavens mystical palace to issue an invitation. Below, many passers-by inclined their heads and stared at the sky. For some peak powers, the Qin clan even sent people to personally deliver the invitation. Qin Yen and Qin Lan have already become transcendent-level world overlords. It's unknown how many men and women are in love with them. This is especially so for Qin Lan. Given her status, cultivation base and beauty, most probably only the geniuses of the other peak powers would be able to match up to her. Someone sighed in his heart. For a woman like her, they could only stare at her from afar, not daring to profane her. Even for world overlords, they wouldn't dare to have any improper thoughts about her. There are people below talking about you again, said Qin Yen, who was on the sacred beast in the air, with a faint smile. Qin Lan's beautiful eyes flashed with arrogance. She didn't look down. She had heard such voices many times before. However, who said that a woman must marry someone of a lower status? Unless a supreme character like her clan brother Qin Dangtian appeared, only then would her heart be moved. The invitation has been delivered. There's no hurry to return to the clan. How about enjoying some good food? Qin Yen smiled as he spoke. Qin Lan's beautiful eyes flashed as she nodded her head lightly. Delicacies were what she liked. It wasn't bad to occasionally enjoy them. Seems like they are going to the culinary god residence, someone thought to himself after hearing the conversation in the sky. The culinary god residence was the #1 restaurant in Qin city. The culinary god's residence, Qin Wendian murmured. His divine will spread out and he took a step forward, heading in a certain direction. As the largest inn in Qin city, the environment of the food god residence was extremely good. It was extremely spacious and each table had its own pavilion, allowing one to enjoy the delicacies in peace. Also, the people who came here were all world overlords. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to afford this. When Qin Yen and Qin Lan arrived, many people instantly recognized them. They clasped their hands to them and greeted, "Sir Qin, Miss Qin Lan." The two of them casually nodded and found a good seat to sit down. Qin Wendian also arrived and sat down not far away from them. There were still some voices in the pavilion earlier, but now, it suddenly turned silent. Clearly, it was because of the arrival of Qin Yen and Qin Lan. You guys are free to do as you please, there's no need to feel restrained. Qin Yen glanced at everyone and calmly spoke. Everyone smiled and nodded, only to hear a world overlord speaking. "I've long heard of Sir Qin and Miss Qin's fame. Now that I've met you today, I feel that your fame is even greater than the rumors." Qin Yen smiled, he didn't mind it at all. He had heard such words of flattery too many times. However, They were all fake and meaningless. His goal wasn't to be compared to the mortals in the outside world. Miss Qinlan's beauty is unparalleled. Although I've never seen the #1 beauty of the heaven region, Goddess Nikhang, before, I'm sure Miss Qin's beauty wouldn't lose out to her. A young world overlord smiled and praised. There were no women who didn't like others praising their beauty. Qinlan was no exception. You haven't seen her before, but I've seen her before. The #1 beauty of the heaven region, Goddess Nikhang, is much more beautiful than me. Qinlan calmly spoke. Although she liked the praise of others, it didn't mean that she would be complacent. She had seen Goddess Nikhang before, and in terms of beauty, she naturally wouldn't be able to compare to her. Miss Qin is too humble. That person laughed. However, the marriage between Heaven's Son and Goddess Nikhang has already circulated around the world. It's truly a beautiful story. They are an immortal couple, a match made in heaven. That's only natural. Only Goddess Nikhang is worthy of my clan elder brother. Qinlan calmly spoke. Many people stared at the side of her face. She was beautiful and her tone was gentle, causing people to feel admiration in their hearts. That's right, heavenly deity Qin is known as Heaven's Son. His combat prowess is unparalleled, and he crippled the Sky Order heavenly deity the moment he broke through to the heavenly deity realm. Most probably, it's unknown how strong he is now. He is like the Qin clan lord, undefeated and undefeatable. A person spoke, his tone filled with worship. The Qin clan lord, Qin Zheng, Heaven's Son, Qin Dangtian. This pair of father and son were truly unparalleled characters. In Qin City, they were existences that were worshipped, lofty and lofty. That's only natural. A light smile appeared on Qinlan's face, making her look even more beautiful. Is it true that the Qin clan lord, Qin Zheng, has never been defeated before? At this moment, a calm voice rang out. The eyes of everyone flashed as they stared at the person who spoke. They only saw Qin Wenyin quietly sitting there with his back facing Qin Yen and Qin Lan. Qin Yen and Qin Lan turned their gazes to Qin Wenyin as they furrowed their brows. They couldn't see through the depth of this person before them, but he actually dared to doubt their words. Naturally. Qin Yen calmly spoke, his tone was filled with certainty. Qin Wendian mockingly laughed, but from what I know, Qin Zheng was defeated by a single person many times in the past. Boasting shamelessly. Qin Lan's expression turned cold. This place was Qin City, yet there was actually someone who dared to boast so shamelessly. Why haven't I heard of my Qin clan's leader being defeated by others? A faint cold smile flashed across Qin Yan's eyes, and his voice also became a little colder. Do the people of the Qin clan not know of Qin Yuanfeng's existence? Qin Wentian spoke. A moment later, the eyes of everyone in the inn narrowed as they stared at Qin Wenyin. This name was a taboo in Qin City. No one dared to mention it, especially in front of people from the Qin clan. This fellow actually dared to mention Qin Yuanfeng. As expected, the expressions of Qin Yen and Qin Lan turned cold. He's merely a traitor of my Qin clan. Qin Yen coldly spoke. However, from what I know, the traitor you speak of once killed his way into the Qin clan and defeated Qin Zheng. Many experts of the Qin clan acted together to deal with Qin Yuanfeng before they managed to defeat him. In that case, where did you guys get the courage to say that Qin Zheng has never been defeated before? Qin Wentian's tone was calm. A cold intent gushed forth from Qin Yen. Although he was still sitting there, it felt like he could act at any moment. For you? Qin Lan turned her head, her beautiful eyes stared at Qin Wenyin as she asked. Qin Wenyin still had his back facing them, but at this moment he slowly turned his face over. When he turned, the contours of his face also changed. Very swiftly, an extremely handsome and young face appeared. When Qin Lan saw this face, she was instantly stunned by Qin Wentian's aura. Qin Wentian. A calm voice rang out from Qin Wentian's mouth. At this moment, the hearts of everyone in the inn trembled violently. Qin Yuanfeng's son, Qin Wenyin. He actually came to Qin City, a place where the Qin clan could be seen with a single glance. He actually had the guts to come to this city alone. Not only that, He even revealed his identity to the experts of the Qin clan. Qin Lan and Qin Yen instantly retreated, feeling incomparably wary. The news of the desolate region had long circulated out. The Kuan sovereign had once appeared in the various regions and many peak powers were on guard against him. Now that Qin Wenyan suddenly appeared in Qin City, Qin Yen and Qin Lan naturally thought that he was here to deal with the juniors of the Qin clan. If you guys attempt to take out your messaging crystals, I can guarantee that you won't be able to survive until the moment the message is sent. Qin Wenyan calmly spoke. The two of them who wanted to take out their messaging crystals immediately stopped their thoughts. Qin Wentian's fame right now wasn't any weaker compared to Heaven's son Qin Dangtian. In the Boundless Sea region, he became a heavenly deity with a single battle. The two heavenly deities of the Qin clan couldn't even withstand a single strike from him. And now, he actually appeared in Qin City. Qin Lan's heart trembled violently. Her beautiful eyes stared at the handsome figure before her. She had always wanted to know what sort of person Qin Wenyan was exactly. Today, she saw it for herself. Qin Wenyan was as magnificent as Qin Dangtian. Just by casually standing there, he gave off an incomparable pressure. He was still so young and so handsome. Also, his surname was Qin as well. The bloodline of the Qin clan flowed in his veins. Don't worry, I'm not here to kill you guys. I have no intentions of abducting you guys either. Qin Wenyan calmly spoke. After that, he waved his hand as a piece of paper flew out, shining with a dazzling light as it floated before Qin Yen and Qin Lan. This is my challenge letter. You guys can pass it to the Qin clan. Qin Dangtan has the title of Heaven's Son, claiming himself to be unparalleled and arrogant. You guys also claim that he has never been defeated before. Since this is the case, I'm sure he wouldn't lack the courage to accept the challenge. Qin Wenyan calmly spoke. As the sound of his voice faded, he stepped out as spatial energy gushed forth. In an instant, Qin Wenyan vanished from sight. A challenge letter. The hearts of the people in the inn trembled. Qin Wenyan was issuing a challenge to Qin Dangtian. Qin Yen and Qin Lan stared at the challenge letter. Qin Wenyan issued a challenge to the Heaven's Son of the Qin clan. And the date of the challenge was actually the date of the wedding between Qin Dangtian and goddess Nikang. Was this intentional or unintentional? Let's go return to the clan. Qin Lan received the challenge letter and spoke. Their figures flashed as they directly left the inn. However, everyone in the inn witnessed everything. Very swiftly, news circulated out from Qin City. Qin Yuanfeng's son, Qin Wenyan, actually appeared in Qin City and personally handed a challenge letter to the Qin clan, telling them to pass it to the Qin clan. Qin Yuanfeng's son, Qin Wenyan, officially challenged Qin Dangtian. Chapter 1915. This challenge letter caused a huge commotion in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Countless people in Qin City were discussing this matter. Many people guessed that could it be that there was something between Qin Wenyan and goddess Nikang? If not, why would Qin Wenyan do such a crazy thing? In addition, the date of their wedding was nearing. More and more experts came to Qin City. How could they miss out on such a grand occasion? Qin Dangtian, the Heaven's Son, would be marrying the #1 beauty of the Heaven region, goddess Nikang. Right now, a character whose fame wasn't inferior to Qin Dangtian in the supreme ancient immortal realms, Qin Wenyan, would challenge him on the day of his wedding. In addition, this person was Qin Yuanfeng's son and was once Qin Zheng's enemy. The grudge between two generations, the fated battle was going to happen in Qin City. How could countless people not rush over? Right now, all the inns in Qin City were filled with people. Countless people were discussing this matter on the streets and alleys. All of them were related to this. This Qin Wenyan is truly crazy. He actually dares to challenge Heaven's Son Qin Dangtian. Could it be that he is so confident that he can win against Qin Dangtian? Although Qin Wentian's fame shook the supreme ancient immortal realms, becoming a god in the Boundless Sea region and easily dealing with Qin Li and Qin Song, Heaven's Son Qin Dangtian has been famous for many years. He fought against the Sky Order heavenly deity of the Luotian clan, and the Sky Order heavenly deity's fame is even more resounding compared to Qin Li and Qin Song. In addition, so many years have passed, Qin Dangtian would only grow stronger. Seems like the God conferment battle in the Boundless Sea region caused Qin Wentian's ego to swell. He is overly confident. Qin Wenyin became a god after that battle. He displayed shocking combat prowess when he fought against Qin Tsang and Qin Li. After that, he even gained control of the Heaven Vault. Maybe he really has world-shaking combat prowess and can fight against Qin Dangtian? There were also people who felt that Qin Wenyin could fight against Qin Dangtian. However, the majority of people still felt that Heaven's son Qin Dangtian was stronger. After all, with his many years of fame, he was known as Heaven's son, the choice of the heavens. It would be extremely difficult for Qin Wenyin to shake him. Most people thought that Qin Wenyin had lost his mind. Could it be that he flew into a rage because of a beauty? Even if Qin Wenyin really had the ability to defeat Qin Dangtian, so what? Could it be that the Qin clan would stand by the side and watch? There was nothing wrong with Qin Dangtian accepting the challenge. But if Qin Dangtian was defeated, what would happen to the Qin clan? One must know that there were precedents in the past. How did Qin Yuanfeng die? Some of the older generations still knew a little about it. The two generations seemed to be suffering the same fate. Could Qin Wenyin change anything? It would probably be difficult. The people from the various peak powers also arrived one after another. However, they didn't join the Qin clan. Although the Qin clan would naturally receive them if they went there, it was clear that the people from the various peak powers preferred to have more freedom. If they stayed in the Qin clan, they wouldn't feel at ease. As the date of the wedding drew nearer, the wind and clouds gathered. It was like a great storm was about to erupt. Naturally, it was also possible that Qin Wenyin was just a decoration for the wedding. Just like what Qin Dangtian said, they would kill Qin Wenyin first before the wedding. This day finally arrived. In the Qin clan, the experts from the various factions gathered. Countless people stared in a certain direction. Over there, Qin Dangtian and several other heavenly deities led many experts, preparing to head to Boundless City to fetch the bride. There were saint beasts pulling the carriages as they set off in a grandiose manner. The people of the Qin clan knew that Qin Dangtian might be the future Qin clan leader. As for the woman he was going to fetch, she would be the future mother of the Qin clan. This wedding would be a grand occasion that the Qin clan hadn't experienced for many years. The Qin clan naturally attached great importance to it. In addition, the lineup for the bride was extremely powerful. Back then in the desolate region, the Qin clan naturally knew about it. Devilox of the Divine Ox clan headed to the Luotian clan to fetch the bride, but he was killed on the way. The people who did this were none other than Luo Shenchuan and Qin Wenyin. How could the Qin clan not be on guard? Although Qin Wenyin wasn't someone Devilox could be compared to, Qin Wentian's forces were also very powerful. Luo Shenchuan, Qin Wenyin, and the 5 demon sovereigns of the Demon God Mountain. This was definitely a terrifying force. They had no choice but to be on guard against Qin Wentian's sinister methods. The majestic group of people soared into the air. Countless people in Qin City were filled with anticipation. Just like Qin City, Boundless City was also incomparably lively. This was especially so outside the Chu residence. It was unknown how many experts were gathered there. Many geniuses were in low spirits. The number one beauty of their Boundless City, Goddess Nikhang, was going to be married to someone today. Even if that person was Qin Dangtian, those who admired Goddess Nikhang couldn't help but feel disappointed. From today onwards, Goddess Nikhang would be someone's wife. Maybe this would be the last time they could see Goddess Nikhang. After Goddess Nikhang marries into the Qin clan, her status would change. If they wanted to see Goddess Nikhang again, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Naturally, there were also many people who wanted to witness the Qin clan's wedding. Compared to the liveliness outside, the interior of the Chu residence was extremely quiet. Chu Shen stood with his hands clasped behind his back, staring into the distance. Behind him, Goddess Nikhang quietly stood there, forming a beautiful scenery. She didn't dress herself up and was just like how she usually was, wearing a simple dress. But even so, she was still as beautiful as ever. There was no need for her to dress herself up. Given her beauty, even if she appeared in this wedding, no one would say anything. Only the two of them were here. It was very quiet, there was no sound at all. Qin Dangtian is already on his way and will arrive very soon. Chu Shen calmly spoke, no emotions could be heard in his voice. After Goddess Nikhang heard this, she was also very calm. Wenyan chose to challenge Qin Dangtian today. Other than his own mission, there should be another reason. He doesn't want you to marry Qin Dangun, right? Chu Shen spoke in a light voice. He could naturally tell this point. Qin Wentian's relationship with him wasn't bad, and he also had a relationship with Nikhang before. He had even met Chu Mo before. It was only normal for him to not want Nikhang to marry into the Qin clan. Once Nikhang married into the Qin clan, she would be standing opposite to Qin Wenyan. At that time, how should he face this? Hence, Qin Wenyan chose to challenge Qin Dangtian today. I know. Goddess Nikhang spoke in a light voice. She lowered her head slightly, there were no fluctuations in her eyes. No one knew what she was thinking about exactly. Chu Shen sighed silently in his heart. He didn't say anything more. He has already said what he wanted to say. Everything else should be left to Nikhang. As they waited quietly, the clouds in the sky far away churned. Auspicious saint beasts appeared, pulling a carriage over with heavenly deities acting as protectors. Qin Dangtian stood there with his long hair fluttering in the wind. He was incomparably handsome, causing many females to be in a daze when they stared at him. Such a grand wedding, how many people in the world would be able to enjoy such treatment? Maybe, only characters like Goddess Nikhang would be qualified to enjoy such treatment. Heavenly deities were only a foil to the wedding. Nikhang, I'm here. The carriage descended as Qin Dangtian alighted. Goddess Nikhang nodded lightly. After that, she stepped out, moving towards another carriage in the air. Qin Dangun smiled and glanced at Chu Shen. Grandpa Chu, let's go. I won't be going. Chu Shen calmly shook his head. Qin Dangtian's eyes flashed. He knew that his grandpa and Chu Shen had some unhappiness in the past. He didn't expect that Chu Shen wouldn't even attend this wedding. However, both of them were heavenly deities, he wouldn't try to persuade them. He merely nodded. In that case, Grandpa Chu, take care. After speaking, he turned and walked towards the carriage. Under the gazes of countless people, the auspicious saint beasts pulled the carriage through the air. Heavenly deities stood guard at the sides of the carriage. This scene was as beautiful as a fairy tale. They left in an imposing manner, but they only stayed for a moment before departing. The people of Boundless City were all discussing. Chu Shen actually didn't go. Could it be that Chu Shen didn't approve of this marriage? The Chu residents became even quieter. However, the Qin clan in Qin City grew more and more lively. Experts from all directions came to the Qin clan to offer their congratulations. At the ceremonial stage of the Qin clan, countless banquets were set up. It was unknown how many experts came. Just for the internal members of the Qin clan, there were already countless people. At the front of the banquet, there were seats for the peak powers of the supreme ancient immortal realms. They would be able to watch the wedding from a close distance. Many people had smiles on their faces, but they were contemplating in their hearts. When would Qin Wenyan appear? In the air, a demonic beast let out a long roar. Auspicious light flashed as the carriage soared through the air. Qin Dangtian and Goddess Nikhang both walked out from the carriage. The two of them were so dazzling. In an instant, the gazes of countless people landed on them. Qin Zheng and his wife stood at the side of the ceremonial stage. Both of them had smiles on their faces. Goddess Nichang's clothes were simple, just like how she usually was. But who could snatch away her radiance? Congratulations, clan leader Qin. Someone congratulated. Heaven's son Qin Dangtian, the #1 beauty of the heaven region. Truly a match made in heaven. Everyone laughed. Qin Zheng smiled and clasped his hands in reply. Qin Dangtian glanced at the beauty beside him. A faint smile could be seen on his handsome face. The two of them walked up the ceremonial stage. Today, he would be able to hug this beauty. Boom. Just as Qin Dangtian landed on the ceremonial stage, the ground of the Qin clan trembled. A muffled boom rang out like an earthquake. The ground trembled continuously, the ceremonial stage also trembled. In an instant, numerous divine senses swept out as countless gazes stared at the area outside the Qin clan. He came. Who would have thought that he would really dare to come here today? This was simply crazy. Outside the Qin clan, it was unknown how many experts came. They didn't have the qualifications to enter the Qin clan and could only stand outside. But at the instant the ground trembled, their hearts trembled as well. The vast crowd actually involuntarily opened up a path. From afar, a figure slowly walked over. His gaze was calm as he stared ahead at the ancient Qin clan. Every step he took caused the ground to tremble. Qin Wendian came here alone. The crowd stared at the silhouette of this newcomer as their hearts trembled in fear. This was too crazy, he actually came to the Qin clan just like that. At this moment, Qin Wendian waved his hand. A moment later, a letter of challenge flew into the Qin clan, straight for the ceremonial stage and landed before Qin Dangtian. Chapter 1916. In the Qin clan, countless gazes stared outside. Their gazes seemed to be able to penetrate through space, landing on Qin Wendian, staring at the figure walking out from the crowd. The Qin Wendian right now was so outstanding, yet he also seemed so lonely. This place was the Qin clan, one of the 3 strongest hegemonic powers in the heaven region. Qin Wendian was alone, walking over step by step. In the eyes of many people, this was no different from courting death. Even if he was strong enough, even if he could fight against Qin Dangtian, so what? Would he be able to shake the Qin clan? In addition, Heaven's son Qin Dangtian might be able to take his life. At this moment, Qin Dangtian stared at the challenge letter floating before his eyes. His gaze was sharp to the extreme, even more terrifying than swords and sabers. Qin Wendian came, wanting to challenge him on the day of his wedding. For the battle today, everyone in the world was watching. He had to kill Qin Wendian outside the Qin clan. If not, would he still have the qualifications to be called Heaven's son? Beside Qin Dangtian, Goddess Nichang's beautiful eyes stared into the distance. Many people turned their gazes to her, as though they wanted to see something from her gaze. After all, Qin Wendian chose to come on the day of her and Qin Dangtian's wedding. Although there was a grudge between the previous generations, many people still felt that there was a reason for this. Did something happen between Qin Wendian and Goddess Nichang exactly? No one knew if the rumors that were spreading wildly in the immortal realms would be verified today. However, no one could tell anything from Goddess Nichang's gaze. It was like she would always be like this, not revealing any emotions. Cold, like an ice mountain. Even on her wedding day, she was still like this. It was said that no one had ever seen Goddess Nichang smile before. Most probably, even Qin Dangtian hadn't seen her smile before. It was unknown how breathtaking the number 1 beauty of the heaven region would be when she smiled. Qin Zheng and his wife also stared outside. They only saw Qin Zheng standing with his hands behind his back. His expression was extremely cold. Since Qin Wendian is here, there's no need for him to leave. They had no idea where he got his courage from to actually dare to step into the Qin clan. Boom! Another thunderous rumble rang out. Qin Wendian's footsteps halted. He stood outside the Qin clan and stared at the majestic castle ahead. Countless people in the surroundings hurriedly made way for him, retreating far away, leaving the place for Qin Wendian. From Qin Wendian, a faint might gushed forth. At the same time, on the ceremonial stage, Qin Dangtian's might also gushed forth. The two of them stared at each other in the air. Their fated battle was unavoidable. There were many experts guarding outside the Qin clan. Their gazes were cold as they stared at Qin Wendian. But at this moment, Qin Zheng spoke. Let him in. Naturally, these people wouldn't be able to stop Qin Wendian. All the experts retreated, opening up a path. Qin Wendian could even directly walk towards the ceremonial stage. Qin Wendian issued a challenge to Heaven's son Qin Dangtian, and everyone in the world knew about it. Also, today was the day of the grand wedding. Even if Qin Dangtian didn't want to reject the challenge, it was impossible for the Qin clan to act before Qin Dangtian was defeated. If not, The Qin clan wouldn't be able to afford to lose face. Qin Dangtian has already accepted the challenge. In that case, this battle would belong to Qin Wenyin and Qin Dangtian. Qin Wenyin didn't enter the Qin clan. He continued standing there and spoke, "Qin Zheng, back then my father defeated you here. The Qin clan was despicable, ganging up on my father and killing him. I'm sure the Qin clan still remembers this matter, right?" Qin Zheng's expression was cold. He didn't reply to Qin Wentian's words. He was the Qin clan leader. Today, with so many experts gathered here, he disdained to argue with Qin Wenyin. A traitor of the Qin clan, even death cannot wipe out his crimes. A heavenly deity from the Qin clan spoke. "Qin Wenyin, after you became a traitor, the blood of our Qin clan still flows in your veins. Today, you shall be stripped from the Qin clan. Do you want things to be the same as back then?" Qin Wenyin laughed. "I won't enter the Qin clan. That place is a place of humiliation, dirtying my feet. One day, when I step into the Qin clan will vanish from this world." Arrogant. You don't know the immensity of death. Let's talk about it if you can survive today. Many experts from the Qin clan had looks of rage on their faces. Qin Wenyin was too arrogant, simply not knowing the immensity of death. He already came here. Could it be that he still wanted to leave? Let alone destroying the Qin clan? What a fool's dream. The powerful Qin clan that has stood tall in the heaven region for countless years has never wavered. They have always been lofty, standing in Qin City. How could they be shaken by a traitor like Qin Wenyin? Once, Qin Zheng was defeated by my father and the Qin clan surrounded him. Today, I issued a letter of challenge to Qin Dangtian. After he is defeated, would the Qin clan act like they did in the past and surround him? Qin Wenyin calmly asked. "Will I be defeated?" Qin Dangtian spoke. His magnificence was unmatched, his black hair fluttered in the wind. His starry eyes pierced through space and stared at Qin Wenyin. He wouldn't be defeated. "Since you are so confident, the battle between the two of you won't end until one of you is crippled or dies. How about it?" Qin Wenyin laughed. "I will grant you your wish." Qin Dangtian calmly replied, incomparably confident. "Although I know your words are useless and the moment you are defeated, the people of the Qin clan would definitely be driven to desperation and gang up on you. However, I still want to say this first so that everyone in the world can see the ugly side of the Qin clan." Qin Wentian continued. "Today, since all the experts of the supreme ancient immortal realms are gathered here, let's all be witnesses." Before the ceremonial stage, the experts from the various peak powers of the supreme ancient immortal realms stared at Qin Wenyin. From Qin Wentian's words, there was no lack of confidence. It was like Qin Dangtian would be defeated for sure. "Interesting." The Qinkuan sect leader laughed. "Since this is the case, my Qinkuan sect will be the witness. I believe that the Heaven's Son, Qin Dangtian, would definitely be able to defeat Qin Wenyin. If he is defeated, I believe the other experts of the Qin clan wouldn't act. As a peak power of the heaven region, the Qin clan still has this much courage." The eyes of everyone flashed when they heard the Qinkuan sect leader's words. Although the majority of people felt that Qin Dangtian would win, what if Qin Dangtian was defeated? The Qin clan didn't say that they wouldn't interfere if Qin Dangtian was defeated. The Qinkuan sect leader was merely a guest today. Although he was speaking on the Qin clan's side, that was under the precondition that Qin Dangtian would win. If not, many people laughed silently in their hearts as they stared at Qin Wenyin. Seems like the Qinkuan sect leader also wanted to obtain Qin Wenyin. Not only for him, Qin Wenyin had the secret of the heaven vault in his hands. Who wouldn't want to obtain it? It was precisely because of this that Qin Wenyin chose to challenge Qin Dangtian today. In the eyes of everyone, this was undoubtedly an act of madness. It was no different from courting death. The Qinkuan sect leader is right. If Qin Dangtian is defeated, given the status of the Qin clan, they naturally wouldn't do anything. The Qin clan can't afford to lose so much face. The experts from the Che clan agreed with the words of the Qinkuan sect leader. Although the possibility of Qin Wenyin winning was very low, what if he won? At that time, They mustn't allow the Qin clan to find an excuse to capture Qin Wendian and imprison him. If that happened, the Heaven Vault would have nothing to do with them anymore. Qin Zheng coldly snorted in his heart. He didn't reply. Qin Dongtian's coldness permeated the entire space. Even before the battle started, he already spoke of defeat. It was like everyone here today was waiting for him to be defeated. However, would he, Qin Dongtian, be defeated? Nikhang, I'll be back soon. Wait for me. Qin Dongtian stared at the beautiful maiden beside him as a gentle look flashed in his eyes. After this battle, he would return to hold the wedding. From now onwards, the number one beauty of the heaven region would become his wife. The heaven's son and the number one beauty of the heaven region should be together. It was fated. After speaking, Qin Dongtian stepped out, walking past everyone as he walked towards the exit of the Qin clan. Outside the Qin clan, the experts retreated unceasingly. Qin Dongtian finally arrived before Qin Wendian. The two of them stood facing each other. Once, I basically didn't have you in my eyes at all. In my world, you have never existed even though you are Qin Yuanfeng's son. Qin Dongtian's voice was filled with arrogance as he coldly spoke. However, I didn't expect that you would be able to walk until today and stand before me. I admire your courage, but your fate has long been determined. There will be no change. The heavenly deities of the Qin clan acted, creating a powerful barrier of light that enveloped the Qin clan. They naturally wouldn't allow the aftershocks of the battle to affect the Qin clan, no matter where the battlefield was. Qin Wendian calmly glanced ahead. After that, he calmly stared at Qin Dongtian. His figure soared up into the air. Qin Dongtian followed after him. Resplendent halos of ancient words appeared around him. In an instant, many ancient words revolved around him. He was like the reincarnation of a god king. Each ancient word contained an unfathomable power, containing the might of the heavenly Tao. Back then in the battle between the two of them, Qin Dongtian had already used such a method. Qin Wendian had experienced it before. Qin Wendian's expression was calm. With a casual wave of his hand, ancient runes lit up around him as well. Numerous ancient runes floated around him, flowing irregularly. This was actually somewhat similar to Qin Dongtian's method. This scene caused Qin Dongtian to frown. After that, he coldly laughed. You want to learn my method? However, how can you comprehend the true meaning behind it? Many experts had strange looks in their eyes when they saw the scene in the air. Qin Wendian and Qin Dongtian both had the bloodline of the Qin clan flowing in their veins. Back then, after the battle in the Heaven Vault, both of them actually learned the ancient words from Qin Dongtian, the Tao hidden within the words. However, how could they surpass Qin Dongtian? Learn from you? Qin Wendian laughed. His ancient words were imparted by the mysterious white-robed young man in the legendary place of the world of reincarnation. One flower, one world. If he was learning from Qin Dongtian, could it be that the white-robed young man was learning from Qin Dongtian as well? Was he, Qin Dongtian, even qualified? If Qin Dongtian knew of this, he most probably wouldn't have the courage to think so. Today, everyone in the world will see that the so-called Heaven's Son is nothing more than a joke. Qin Wendian calmly spoke. After that, he waved his hand, blasting out ancient words. Chapter 1917. The battle is starting. Countless gazes stared at the sky. Qin Wendian took the initiative to attack. Overestimating your capabilities. Qin Dongtian's black hair fluttered in the wind. He lifted his hand and similarly unleashed an ancient character. The two of them seemed to be using the same method. Now, let's see who is stronger. The two ancient characters clashed in the middle. Qin Wendian's ancient character transformed into a screen of sword light that contained the sword Tao of spacetime. It was like a sword river from the 9 heavens, capable of devouring everything, lacerating everything. Heavenly might permeated the air as the entire sky instantly transformed into a world of swords. The countless spectators only saw that the blue sky above their heads was no longer filled with white clouds. Heavenly deities, with a wave of their hands, could unleash a power that could destroy the heavens and earth. To many people in Qin City, today, they would be able to witness a rarely seen deity-level battle. A battle between heavenly deities, even in the supreme ancient immortal realms, wasn't commonly seen. It would only erupt during times of chaos. Usually, heavenly deities would be extremely cautious and wouldn't clash against each other. Even if they did, they wouldn't do it in front of everyone. Such an opportunity was extremely rare. Qin Dongtian's ancient character also erupted forth, transforming into a gigantic, fixed character that spanned across the heavens and earth, wanting to freeze the sky. It clashed against the Sword River from the 9 heavens. 2 different types of heavenly Tao energy clashed against each other. The Sword River from the 9 heavens was as illusory as the heavens, capable of ripping apart everything. The fixed character wanted to block Qin Dangtian, but it was directly devoured by the Sword River. The sword might from the space-time sword shot towards Qin Dangtian. Clearly, in the first clash between the 2 ancient characters, Qin Wenyin was actually a level higher. This scene caused the eyes of many to freeze. Qin Wenyin seemed to be much stronger than what they had imagined. Was his ancient character technique truly inspired by Qin Dangtian? The ancient characters behind Qin Dangtian revolved. After that, beams of light shot out unceasingly, slamming into the air. In an instant, the Sword River was completely enveloped, unable to advance any further. It was truly locked in place in the air as it gradually dissipated. Although he was at a disadvantage in the first clash, Qin Dongtian's expression didn't change at all. He was Heaven's son. In a battle between heavenly deities, how could his state of heart be affected by the strength of a single move? At most, Qin Wenyin only surprised him a little. Seems like after so many years, Qin Wenyin didn't waste it. But even so, the ending wouldn't change. Behind Qin Wenyin, numerous ancient characters shot out, wanting to envelop Qin Dangtian. When the power of these ancient characters erupted, the space around Qin Dangtian seemed to be sealed. That terrifying sealing energy gushed towards Qin Dangtian, wanting to seal the heavenly Tao. During these years, you have indeed cultivated some techniques. Qin Dangtian calmly spoke. As the sound of his voice faded, the light around him frenziedly blasted out, penetrating through everything. The space before him was completely unobstructed. There were no obstructions between him and Qin Wenyin. As for the terrifying Tao might around him, it was as though Qin Dangtian could disregard it. But even so, it would at most allow you to struggle a little longer. In the battle back then, you fled for your life. But today, how can the god's extinction path allow you to flee? Qin Dangtian continued. As the sound of his voice faded, his absolute beginning astral soul appeared. For a moment, his surroundings were incomparably dazzling as the heavenly Tao behind him unceasingly manifested its strongest might. During these years, Qin Dongtian's absolute beginning astral soul grew even stronger compared to the past. It now possessed an unfathomable might, capable of destroying the heavens and earth. When his absolute beginning astral soul was unleashed to the extreme, the entire space was filled with the light of the absolute beginning, enveloping everything. The ancient characters around Qin Wenyin also seemed to be imprinted within his absolute beginning astral soul. After that, his absolute beginning astral soul actually seemed to be able to absorb the energy within and transform itself. From there, Qin Wenyin could sense the power of the space-time sword Tao contained within the ancient characters. Emichim? Qin Wenyin frowned. Qin Dongtian's absolute beginning astral soul seemed to be even stronger compared to the past. It was like back then, he had fused his divine wall Tao into his absolute beginning astral soul, allowing him to directly absorb all the energy in the world and transform it into his own. Such a terrifying Tao, as Qin Dangtian matured, would only grow more and more terrifying until he became invincible under the heavens. What a powerful Tao! Absolute beginning, the beginning of the heavens and earth. Qin Dangtian wants to find a Tao that can trace back to the past and present, the origin of the heavens and earth. His ambition is truly great. Someone silently mused. The experts from the various peak powers all felt wariness in their hearts. Heaven's son Qin Dangtian was truly a character. They had to be more careful. His future would definitely be extremely terrifying. The space-time sword Dao you cultivate isn't bad. If I can defeat you in my hands, what would you think? Qin Dangtian spoke. His astral soul behind him transformed into a Dao as a space-time black hole appeared in the sky. This black hole was formed from swords, terrifying to the extreme. Qin Wendian stared ahead. The space-time sword Dao manifested itself. This Qin Dangtian's absolute beginning astral soul was truly powerful. Even though he was fated to be in this place, he still had to admit this point. If Qin Dangtian wasn't strong, how could he be qualified to be called Heaven's Son? Qin Zheng and his wife, as well as the experts from the Qin clan, all had confident looks on their faces. For this battle, Qin Dangtian would win for sure. There was no suspense at all. After the God-confirmed battle in the Boundless Sea region, Qin Wentian's ego swelled to the point where he actually dared to look down on Heaven's Son. He would pay the heaviest price for this. Go! Qin Dangtian stabbed out with a finger. The space-time sword Dao shot out from his finger, instantly causing the sky to turn dark. It was like the end of the world. Space-time enveloped the sky, wanting to bury Qin Wenyan. In just an instant, it directly descended, enveloping Qin Wenyan within, ignoring time and space. Because this was the space-time sword Dao itself. Using Qin Wentian's Dao to deal with Qin Wenyan. Heaven's Son, unparalleled in his generation. The people of the world sighed in admiration as they stared at Qin Wenyan, who was buried by the space-time sword Dao. How could he break this? Using my Dao to deal with me? Qin Wenyan stared at this scene of destruction, yet his expression was as calm as ever. He stretched out his hand and in an instant, his palm was like a black hole, growing larger and larger. That black hole devoured everything as the boundless destructive sword Qi gushed into it. After that, the sword Qi was sealed within Qin Wentian's palm. It was like Qin Wentian's palm contained boundless space. In front of Qin Wentian's palm, an incomparably terrifying Dao might radiated forth. Boundless devouring light radiated outwards, wanting to devour time and space. Everything in the world was merely the size of a palm. The space-time sword might dissipated. Qin Wendian still calmly stood there. He retracted his palm that was stretched out and calmly stood there. However, the people below were all dumbfounded. Their expressions were sluggish. They didn't dare to believe what they had just seen. Qin Wenyan used the absolute beginning Dao might to absorb Qin Wentian's space-time sword Dao, transforming it into a supremely powerful space-time sword art. However, Qin Wenyan only casually stretched out his hand. His palm was like the heaven vault he controlled, encompassing the 9 heavens and directly devouring the terrifying energy into his palm. What terrifying method was this? The hearts of many people pounded. This seemingly simple black hole in the palm definitely contains spatial, sealing, devouring, and many other law attributes. Also, it was manifested in the form of devouring. This indicated that Qin Wenyan was also proficient in devouring. But according to the rumors, he seemed to be proficient in space-time as well as sword attribute energy. After that, it was discovered that he also had the ability to seal things. Now, he even had the devouring attribute. This felt somewhat strange. You want to defeat me with just these few methods? Qin Wendian stared at Qin Wenyan as he calmly spoke. You want to use my Dao to deal with me? However, if I control the myriad of Daos, can you transform them endlessly? Shameless boasting. Qin Wenyan coldly spoke. In this world, who dares to claim to control the myriad of Daos? I have the absolute beginning Dao and can transform all Daos. This is the true foundation of the myriad of Daos. Is that so? Qin Wendian laughed. Do you think that your absolute beginning Dao is unique and unrivaled in the world? Why don't you guess what my 9th astral soul is? Qin Wendian laughed. I'm not interested. Qin Wendian coldly replied. Look carefully. Qin Wendian calmly spoke. Behind him, an astral soul appeared. In an instant, Qin Wentian's gaze froze. Not only for him, the experts of the Qin clan and the countless experts below all had strange looks on their faces when they saw that astral soul. This astral soul was actually the same as the one behind Qin Wenyan. Even the color was the same. It was an absolute beginning astral soul that originated from the 9th heavenly layer. Qin Wentian's expression froze as he stared at Qin Wenyan. After that, he coldly laughed. Not only did you imitate my ancient characters, right now, even your absolute beginning astral soul is the same. Could it be that you have no insights of your own? Everyone had strange looks on their faces. Qin Wenyan was imitating Qin Wenyan. In that case, how could he surpass Qin Wenyan? Imitate you? Qin Wenyan laughed. After that, he released his astral souls. In an instant, 9 astral souls appeared. 8 of them originated from the 8th heavenly layer and 1 from the 9th. Their astral souls illuminated the sky, incomparably resplendent. When everyone in the world saw the 9 astral souls, their hearts all trembled. Such a combination of astral souls was truly unrivaled in the world. Although there were many extraordinary characters in the supreme ancient immortal realms whose astral souls originated from the 9th heavenly layer, it was impossible for the first 8 astral souls to be more dazzling than Qin Wentian's. This seemed impossible, but the truth was right before their eyes. Open your eyes and look clearly. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. After that, all 9 of his astral souls vanished at the same time. But an instant later, the astral souls behind Qin Wentian lit up once more. The eyes of countless people froze there like they saw something unbelievable. Did you forget about the devouring attributes so quickly? Qin Wentian calmly spoke. This astral soul was a black hole-like devouring astral soul that originated from the 9th heavenly layer. It was different from the 9 astral souls from before. Only now did everyone recall that earlier when Qin Wenyan revealed his devouring ability, they actually forgot about it because they were shocked by the combination of his astral souls. 10th astral soul, how can this be possible? The hearts of many trembled. This defied logic. It was impossible for stellar martial cultivators to have 10 astral souls. How can this be? Qin Wentian silently mused. He stared at Qin Wentian's astral souls. Could it be a smokescreen? Are you shocked? You are even more shocked. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. The devouring astral soul vanished, but an instant later, another astral soul appeared, causing the hearts of everyone to tremble. This was another completely different astral soul. It seemed to be the 11th astral soul. Qin Wenyan, if you are heaven's son, chosen by the heavens, then what am I? Qin Wentian calmly spoke. His voice rang out, causing the hearts of countless people to tremble. Heaven's son? What was heaven's son exactly? Chapter 1918. Today, the experts of the supreme ancient immortal realms gathered here. Many people from the peak powers as well as countless experts from Qin City witnessed this scene. Qin Wenyan displayed an astral soul that transcended logic. For stellar martial cultivators, when they reached the heavenly deity realm, they would have 9 astral souls. This was the law of cultivation. But now, there was actually someone who unleashed 11 astral souls. He stood there and asked the heaven's son, Qin Dengen, if you are heaven's son, what am I? If the heavens chose you, why would I, Qin Wenyan, be able to possess 11 astral souls? Qin Dangtian was speechless. The people of the world were speechless as well. They could only stare at this scene. The experts of the Qin clan all felt extremely complicated in their hearts. A descendant of their Qin clan actually had an existence with 11 astral souls. However, he had long since stood on the opposing side of the Qin clan and wouldn't rest until one of them died. Right now, the people of the Qin clan even felt some doubts. Could heaven's son Qin Dangtian really win for sure? What if Qin Dangtian was defeated? What would the situation be like then? No wonder you can control the heaven vault. Seems like you have truly unraveled the secret of the heaven vault. The treasure your father obtained in the heaven vault back then must have been passed on to you, right? Qin Dangtian coldly spoke. This was also the conjecture of his father, Qin Zheng. Back then, the Qin clan spared no expense to search for my father's whereabouts, not willing to let him go. Was their purpose because of the treasure he obtained in the heaven vault? Qin Wentian replied. My ancestors were members of the Qin clan, but they couldn't win against the greed of the Qin clan. You are right, that treasure is already mine. Hence, I'm the controller of the Heaven Vault. To the current Qin Wenyan, all the secrets on him were no longer considered secrets. He controlled the Heaven Vault, and even the supreme ancient immortal realms wanted to deal with him. In that case, so what if he revealed one more secret? When Qin Zheng and the experts of the Qin clan heard Qin Wenyan admitting to it, their eyes gleamed with sharpness. In that case, they mustn't allow Qin Wenyan to leave today. What a despicable clan! The descendants of the Qin clan had a fortuitous encounter, yet they spared no expense to obtain it. Today, I want to let the people of the Qin clan see everything. I'm here to tell the Qin clan that you will regret everything you have done. The Qin clan will eventually be destroyed. Qin Wenyan slowly spoke. As the sound of his voice faded, a different astral soul appeared behind him, causing the eyes of everyone to freeze. This was the 12th astral soul. How many astral souls did Qin Wenyan have? How many astral souls did Qin Wenyan have? A thought appeared in someone's mind. However, even they themselves felt that it was absurd. How could this be possible? Qin Wenyan's astral souls weren't limitless. In truth, he only had 17 astral souls. When his two clones fused together, each of them had 8 astral souls. After that, he condensed his astral souls from the 9 heavenly layers, forming a connection with the myriad of constellations in the 9 heavenly layers, giving birth to his 17th astral soul, which was also known as the tiny astral being. Hence, the number of astral souls Qin Wenyan had was only 17. However, the astral souls formed from the astral souls had a unique characteristic. They were born from connecting with the countless constellations in the 9 heavenly layers. It was like a world of its own, containing countless constellations within. It could transform into any constellation that Qin Wenyan could sense, and condense an astral soul. In other words, Qin Wenyan's 17th astral soul, the astral soul, could transform into any astral soul he wanted. This was Qin Wenyan's 17th astral soul. It was a single astral soul, but at the same time, it was also a trillion astral souls, containing boundless transformations. In this aspect, it was countless times more superior compared to Qin Dongtian's absolute beginning astral soul. At this moment, the astral soul that appeared behind Qin Wenyan instantly enveloped the entire sky, enveloping the entire world. The entire sky seemed to be enveloped by the radiance of the astral soul, and within this world, numerous terrifying black holes appeared, each of them so deep that the bottom couldn't be seen. It was as though each black hole contained an entire world within. Astral souls transforming into Taos. Evidently, Qin Wenyan had fused his Tao energy with his astral souls. This was a heavenly deity-level technique. And this astral soul was also an astral soul from the 9th heavenly layer. It was formed from an extremely powerful constellation. Back then, when Qin Wenyan sensed this constellation, he stepped on it and actually sensed the power of dimensional space. This caused people to sigh in admiration. Qin Wenyan immediately tried to form an innate connection with this constellation, using it to comprehend the Tao. In the 9th heavenly layer, there were many extraordinary constellations. For example, his 8th astral soul, the River of Time, as well as his absolute beginning astral soul. The higher the heavenly layer, the stronger the constellations. Qin Wenyan comprehended it and fused it into his own Tao, creating an extremely powerful heavenly Tao, the dimensional spacetime Tao. Upon seeing this astral soul and sensing the Tao might radiating from it, Qin Zheng frowned. This time around, the feeling Qin Wenyan gave him was completely different compared to the time when he first comprehended the Tao. Right now, Qin Wenyan had truly transformed. He controlled the heavenly Tao and was like a supreme character, like the Lord of the heavenly Tao. Qin Zheng's confidence in Qin Wenyan's victory also started to waver. Now, it all depended on whether Qin Wenyan's absolute beginning Tao could subdue Qin Wenyan or not. During these years of cultivation, Qin Wenyan didn't waste any of it. His strongest technique was the absolute beginning Tao. Compared to the time when he fought against Qin Wenyan back then, it wasn't just a little stronger. It had also undergone a transformation. He once fought against Qin Wenyan and once evaluated that if Qin Wenyan was given a few more years, Qin Wenyan would definitely surpass him. The gazes of the people of the world grew increasingly excited. Now, this was a true confrontation. Before this, many people thought that this battle would be a one-sided one. Heaven's Son would undoubtedly suppress Qin Wenyan. Qin Wentian's anger was merely an impulse after his ego swelled up. But now, they understood that Qin Wenyan truly had the ability to fight against Heaven's Son. During these years, the two most outstanding young men in the supreme ancient immortal realms were both here. Right now, they were fighting outside the Qin clan. Qin Wenyan didn't say anything more. Right now, only victory could prove everything. Even if Qin Wenyan obtained a miraculous encounter and condensed more than 9 astral souls, so what of it? The victory of this battle would still belong to him. Everything that Qin Yuanfeng experienced in the past would happen to Qin Wenyan once again. This would be the samsara of history. There would be no changes. Numerous ancient runes entered the absolute beginning astral soul and frenziedly transformed. In an instant, a gigantic Ding character appeared, soaring up into the sky. At this instant, everyone could see countless Ding characters stacking on top of each other, blasting towards the dimension world created by Qin Wenyan, wanting to freeze the entire dimension world in place, causing the dimensional black hole to stop spinning and the powerful spatial storm to stop. Absolute beginning Tao, extreme evolution. Everyone silently mused. Qin Wenyan strengthened the power of his Tao. Right now, ordinary heavenly deities wouldn't even be able to withstand a single strike from him. Some heavenly deities sighed in admiration. They could sense that if they were the ones fighting against Qin Wenyan and Qin Wenyan, they would be in an extremely miserable state. The disparity between heavenly deities could be boundlessly vast. They had no idea how these two figures in the sky cultivated. The space where Qin Wenyan was at kept distorting. The Ding characters seemed to be twisting as well. The might of the Tao was being sliced apart bit by bit. After that, it dissipated like smoke. Is the power of the absolute beginning Tao only this much? Qin Wenyan mocked. Qin Wentian's expression was calm. He folded hand seals as all the ancient runes floated before him, fusing into his absolute beginning astral soul. The absolute beginning astral soul behind him seemed to be undergoing endless transformations. The Tao became stronger and stronger as a heaven-shaking might gushed forth. Qin Wenyan seemed to be carrying the power of the 10,000 Daos on his back, resembling a supreme god of war. Qin Dangtian stretched out his finger. In an instant, countless ancient characters transformed into divine imprints that blasted out, slamming into the dimensional black hole, causing the black hole to collapse. The Tao of absolute beginning, returning all Daos to the beginning. The divine imprints blasted out, causing the sky to tremble. It was like a world-destroying divine art. Everything returned to its origin. Even dimensional energy had to return to its origin, transforming into nothingness. In addition, these divine imprints still shone with the resplendent light. They were connected to the absolute beginning astral soul and seemed to contain boundless energy that would never stop. Qin Wenyan ignored these divine imprints. His gaze directly landed on Qin Wenyan as he pointed his finger at him. In an instant, the space around Qin Wenyan distorted. His body directly appeared as his sword slashed out. A dimensional sword slashed out, severing time and space. The connection between the divine imprints and Qin Wenyan was severed. Qin Wenyan stretched out his palm as a terrifying dimensional black hole appeared, wanting to devour everything, wanting to devour Qin Wentian's body. The absolute beginning astral soul absorbed the energy in Qin Wentian's palm. After that, in the screen of light behind Qin Wenyan, numerous black hole palms appeared as well, wanting to devour everything. Learning from me? Qin Wenyan laughed mockingly, as though he was replying to what Qin Wenyan had said to him earlier. Qin Wenyan said that Qin Wenyan wanted to learn from him. However, reality proved that Qin Wenyan had many methods. There was no need for him to learn from him. You don't have my astral soul or my law attribute energy. How can you learn from me? Qin Wenyan laughed. After that, The boundless dimensional energy frenziedly gushed into the screen of light behind Qin Wenyan, gushing into the black hole. He wanted to see how Qin Wenyan would be able to withstand such violent energy. Although the absolute beginning Tao could evolve endlessly, that was only in theory. If Qin Wenyan cultivated to the ultimate realm, he might be able to form an ultimate Tao. But now, it was clearly impossible for him to do so. If not, even his father Qin Zheng wouldn't be his opponent. The absolute beginning Tao was a Tao that could allow one to reach the pinnacle of strength. But before that, it wasn't perfect. As the boundless energy gushed into the black hole, the astral soul behind Qin Wenyan also trembled, as though it wasn't that stable. Clearly, he truly didn't have the ability to evolve his energy to the pinnacle. But at this moment, Qin Wenyan's eyes flashed with an extremely cold light. He spoke, "It's enough to deal with you." As the sound of his voice faded, the palm-sized black hole collapsed. The boundless energy directly gushed into the absolute beginning astral soul, wanting to shatter it. Chapter 1919. Qin Wenyan's astral souls trembled as though he was enduring an extreme pressure. His absolute beginning astral soul had the ability to transform everything and could even absorb the attacks of others. However, when Qin Wenyan's attacks reached a terrifying degree, even his absolute beginning astral soul found it hard to withstand it. Before this, when Qin Dangtian used his absolute beginning astral soul to form a dimensional black hole, it was the same as Qin Wenyan's. But after all, that was a manifestation of the absolute beginning astral soul and didn't contain the true power of Qin Wenyan's dimension. Hence, he had no way to digest it. Hence, he could only refine it into his absolute beginning astral soul. Qin Wenyan's absolute beginning astral soul blotted out the sun. His astral soul seemed to be on the verge of collapse. Qin Wenyan's long black hair fluttered in the wind as he continued to absorb energy. His resplendent eyes stared at Qin Wenyan, gleaming with coldness and determination. He was heaven's son. How could he lose? How could he lose? Today was the day of his grand wedding. Everyone in the world was here to spectate. He couldn't afford to lose, and he wouldn't lose either. So what if you had a miraculous encounter? The absolute beginning astral soul is the strongest Tao art in the world, the ultimate heavenly Tao. Qin Wenyan arrogantly spoke. He had absolute confidence in his absolute beginning astral soul. As the sound of his voice faded, the absolute beginning astral soul actually countered Qin Wenyan's attack. In addition, it contained the ultimate manifestation of Qin Wenyan's own Tao. Everyone only saw beams of apocalyptic light piercing through the sky. Everywhere it passed by, everything would be destroyed. There seemed to be no power that could block it. In Qin City, countless people inclined their heads and stared at the sky. The scene in the sky was too terrifying, blotting out the sun as a suffocating pressure bore down. Although the location of their battle was extremely high up in the sky, everyone in Qin City could still feel the true heavenly might. Qin Wenyan naturally also felt this power. However, his expression was as calm as ever. He who fought against Qin Wenyan before naturally understood that the Qin Wenyan today was much stronger compared to back then. In addition, he had experienced the might of the absolute beginning astral soul's absolute beginning astral soul before. Hence, he wasn't surprised by this scene. However, even though Qin Dangtian risked his life to unleash this strike, it was destined that he wouldn't be able to do as he wished. Because this world was a world of Tao that belonged to him. He waved his hands and in an instant, an incomparably gigantic dimensional black hole appeared before him. Qin Dangtian's attacks instantly blasted over, entering the dimensional black hole. It was as though they had entered a dimension created by him. Moreover, this entire world was created by his dimensional spacetime Tao. Here, he could control everything. Countercurrent. Qin Wenyan finally spat out 2 words. At the instant the sound of his voice faded, Qin Wenyan's heart trembled. Around him, a spatial tempest manifested and after that, an apocalyptic might gushed forth, gushing towards him. Weren't these attacks the power he unleashed earlier? He used the power of the absolute beginning Tao art to counter-attack Qin Wenyan. However, Qin Wenyin used his dimensional space-time Dao, causing time and space to distort, even reversing the flow of time to attack him. In just an instant, Qin Wenyin felt like his body was about to be buried by the boundless attacks. He had already endured an incomparably powerful attack, causing his astral souls to tremble violently. Right now, an even more powerful attack was about to land on him. Would Qin Wenyin still be able to endure it? Dang! In the Qin clan, Qin Wentian's mother called out. Her beautiful eyes flashed with worry as she involuntarily stepped out. Not only for her at this moment, Qin Jing also involuntarily walked out, soaring up into the sky. This battle had already surpassed his expectations. Qin Wentian's strength was also beyond his expectations, far surpassing his imagination. Qin Dangtian created a divine wall. Ancient words revolved around it, blocking all the incoming attacks. His body felt like it was about to be buried within the Dao art. Thunderous rumbling sounds rang out, the sky was trembling, the earth was trembling, even the sky was shaking. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with killing intent. There was no room for reconciliation between him and the Qin clan. If there was a chance, Qin Wentian wouldn't spare him. Similarly, if there was a chance, he wouldn't spare Qin Wentian either. Qin Wenyin was Qin Zheng's son, and he was also the enemy who crippled his uncle, the Sky Order heavenly deity. Also, if Qin Wentian died, this wedding that had yet to be held would naturally be meaningless. This was one of the reasons why he chose to challenge Qin Wenyin today. As long as Goddess Nikhang hasn't become Qin Wentian's wife, the person he wanted to kill wouldn't be her husband. There was no need for them to become enemies. He didn't wish to face Goddess Nikhang at the same time as Qin Wenyin. Kill! From Qin Wenyin, dimensional space-time swords erupted forth, traversing through everything, ignoring the distance of time and space as they shot towards Qin Wenyin. At this moment, an incomparably bright light suddenly erupted from Qin Wenyin. After that, it was as though the power of the 10,000 Daos in the heavens was unleashed. This was an armor, the supreme treasure of the Qin clan, the myriad law armor. Within it, the Tao of the Qin clan's ancestor was contained within. At this moment, it was able to defend against the incoming attacks. With a thunderous boom, Qin Wentian's body was flung through the air. However, the armor still floated before him, protecting him from the most terrifying attacks. The myriad law armor. Qin Zheng actually gave this treasure to Qin Wenyin. The eyes of everyone flashed. Many experts from the peak powers knew of this supreme treasure of the Qin clan. Qin Wenyin had also seen it before. Back then in the god's extinction path, when his grandfather appeared to deal with Qin Zheng and the others, Qin Zheng had taken out this treasure when he was fleeing. He didn't expect that Qin Zheng would actually pass it to Qin Wenyin. The heavenly Tao might from Qin Wenyin gushed forth once more. He wanted to continue attacking, but a beam of divine punishment light appeared in the sky. After that, boundless divine punishment energy locked down the world he was in. Qin Wenyin naturally knew who was the one who acted. He turned his gaze downwards and saw Qin Zheng flying over. Behind him, his wife and the other heavenly deities of the Qin clan were all in the air, surrounding Qin Wenyin. Just like what everyone expected, if Qin Wenyin was truly defeated, it was impossible for the Qin clan to not act. He was the future overlord of the Qin clan, Heaven's Son. His talent was unparalleled. Would the Qin clan allow him to die? Although this was a very humiliating matter, especially in front of everyone in the world, face or Qin Wentian's life, which was more important? There was basically no need to think. Qin Wenyin also understood this. Hence, he wanted to take this chance to kill Qin Wenyin in a single strike. However, with the myriad law armor around, it was impossible for him to do so. In a short instant, Qin Wenyin was in the midst of all the heavenly deities. Each and every heavenly deity radiated heavenly might, enveloping the entire sky. Qin Wenyin laughed. His laughter was cold and filled with mockery. He stared at Qin Wenyin only to see that right now, Qin Wentian's long hair covered his face. He lowered his head, no longer exuding the aura he exuded earlier. As Heaven's Son, he was actually defeated. His absolute beginning Tao art lost to Qin Wentian's Tao. He achieved divine might earlier than Qin Wenyan. When he was in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, he once looked down on Qin Wenyan for not understanding the heavenly Tao. But now, he was actually defeated by Qin Wenyan. In front of everyone, on the day of his grand wedding, the Qin Wenyan now felt as though his heart was being sliced by blades. He had never felt such a sense of defeat before. In his life, how carefree, how glorious was he! He was born unparalleled, chosen by the heavens, crippling the heavenly mandate realm during the God conferment battle. But everything would be crushed in this battle. All his glory, all his pride, everything would be crushed in a single battle. He, Qin Wenyan, was defeated. The people of the world also stared at Qin Wenyan, who had his head lowered in the air, as well as that arrogant figure standing there. Countless emotions appeared in their hearts. Heaven's son, Qin Wenyan, a supreme genius of the Qin clan. Just when everyone thought that he would be the victor, he was actually defeated. He was defeated by Qin Wenyan, the son of Qin Yuanfeng, a young heavenly deity who ascended to the heavenly deity realm 200+ years ago. Qin Wenyan's fame has long circulated through the supreme ancient immortal realms. However, everyone felt that he didn't have the strength to match his fame. The main reason was because of goddess Nikhang and the Heaven Vault. But now, everyone understood that even without goddess Nikhang and the Heaven Vault, an existence like Qin Wenyan wouldn't be able to block his radiance. His name was destined to resound through the supreme ancient immortal realms. Qin Wenyan naturally wouldn't know what the people of the world were thinking. He only stared at the people in the surroundings. What a familiar scene. I'm sure the people of the Qin clan aren't foreign to this scene, right? Qin Wenyan's voice was low and heavy, cold to the extreme. Because his father had once experienced such a scene. He defeated Qin Zheng but was surrounded by the elders of the Qin clan. In the end, his fate ended up outside the Qin clan. Right now, it was like a cycle of samsara. He defeated Qin Dangtian but suffered the same treatment as his father. Would his ending be different from his father? Qin Wenyan, back then when your father obtained a supreme treasure, he wanted to keep it for himself and refused to hand it over to the clan. In fact, he didn't even hesitate to fall out with the clan, all for the sake of his own benefits. Right now, everything of your father's inheritance has been passed on to you, including hatred. Since this is the case, the clan can only clean up the clan once again. Qin Zheng coldly spoke. Qin Dangtian was already defeated, what else could he say? Any words he said would only be criticized by others. But no matter what, he still had to act. Haha. Qin Wenyan laughed uproariously. The dignified clan leader of the Qin clan actually dares to say such shameless words in front of everyone? The treasure his father obtained actually had to be handed over to the clan? In that case, who would he hand it over to? Qin Zheng and his father? It sounded so ridiculous. Qin Zheng, if you do this, it would be an insult to the prestige of the Qin clan. At this moment, a calm voice rang out. The eyes of everyone flashed as they stared at the person who spoke. It was none other than the Qiankuan sect leader. As expected, the Qiankuan sect leader was the first one who couldn't control himself and spoke. Clearly, he wouldn't allow Qin Wenyan to fall into the hands of the Qin clan so easily. However, this place was the Qin clan. Could it be that the Qiankuan sect leader wanted to fight against the Qin clan? Chapter 1920. Upon seeing the Qiankuan sect leader interfering, Qin Zheng's expression turned Qiankuan cold. He coldly glanced at the Qiankuan sect leader. This is an internal matter of my Qin clan. Earlier Qin Wenyan came to challenge Heaven's Choice Qin Dangtian and issued a challenge. Your son Qin Dangtian accepted it, and now that he was defeated, the people of the Qin clan surrounded him in front of everyone. Qin Zheng, are you not afraid that the Qin clan would be ridiculed by everyone? The Qiankuan sect leader laughed. As for internal matters, Qin Yuanfeng betrayed the Qin clan back then and was killed by your Qin clan. Right now, Qin Wenyan also said that the Qin clan is a disgrace and has no relationship with the Qin clan. How can this be considered an internal matter? In that case, you want to interfere in the matters of my Qin clan today? Qin Zheng calmly asked, his tone filled with unfriendliness. He had to capture Qin Wendian no matter what. Qin Wentian's body was related to the treasure Qin Yuanfeng obtained back then, and the people of the Qin clan even saw the effect of the treasure. Not long ago, Qin Wendian released his 12th astral soul, and in a short period of over 200 years, his comprehension of the Tao reached such a level, defeating Heaven's choice. How could the Qin clan let him off? Since Qin Wendian has already been defeated, if the Qin clan still cares about face, you shouldn't interfere anymore. You should bring Qin Wendian away to carry out the unfinished wedding. As for Qin Wendian, he controls the secret of the Heaven Vault. How can we allow your Qin clan to bring him away? The Qinkuan sect leader laughed. Many experts from the various powers walked out. After they saw the strength Qin Wendian displayed, not only did they feel an intense desire for the Heaven Vault, they also wanted to obtain Qin Wentian's body. The secret of 12 astral souls. How did Qin Wendian accomplish it exactly? As for today, it was supposed to be Qin Dongtian's wedding day. But right now, no one was paying attention to it. His beautiful bride, the #1 beauty of the heaven region, goddess Nikhang, was also ignored on the stage. Her beautiful eyes stared at Qin Wendian, who was surrounded by the crowd as great waves rose in her heart. In such a dangerous situation, why would he appear and choose to challenge Qin Dongtian today? In fact, earlier, it was clear that he wanted to kill Qin Dongtian. Was it because he wanted to stop this wedding? Qin Wentian's white robes fluttered in the wind. He calmly stood in the air. From the moment he arrived, he already knew that he would face such a situation. This was something his father had experienced before, and he was extremely familiar with it. He naturally wouldn't doubt the shamelessness of the Qin clan. There was no need to doubt what the Qin clan would choose between Qin Dongtian and their face. Qin Dongtian, from today onwards, what face do you have to establish yourself in the supreme ancient immortal realms? What face do you have to call yourself Heaven's son? Are you even worthy? Qin Wendian stared at the figure before him, who had his head lowered. Qin Dongtian's body trembled slightly. The more lofty and lofty a supreme genius was, the harder they would fall after being defeated. Qin Wentian's words caused his heart to waver. Dang, this is just a battle. Don't let it affect your heart. In the future, work hard in your cultivation and stand at the peak of the supreme ancient immortal realms. The people of the world would only look up to you in admiration, your legend. Even if you were defeated in the past, it would only become a legend. Qin Jing spoke. Back then he walked his path like this. He was once defeated by Qin Yuanfeng, but now he had climbed to the peak. As the Qin clan leader, the people of the world would only look up to him. Who would remember his past? Qin Wendian wanted to waver Qin Dongtian's Tao heart. How could he agree to this? At this moment, even if Qin Dongtian was a heavenly deity, he still needed some words of encouragement to motivate him. Qin Dongtian slowly inclined his head. When he stared at Qin Wendian, his gaze turned resolute once again. His pitch-black eyes, his long black hair, every strand of hair on his body radiated the tenacity of his will. After wavering, he was still the Heaven's son. Qin Dongtian, how could he be defeated so easily? He, Qin Dongtian, was the future of the Qin clan. Qin Wendian stared at Qin Dongtian's eyes. He knew that Qin Dongtian had already recovered. He silently mused that, as expected of Heaven's son, Qin Dongtian truly had his outstanding points. However, a look of disdain could still be seen on his face. Although I was defeated today, I didn't lose because of my Tao. The absolute beginning Tao is the ultimate Tao of the heavens and earth. If I cultivate it to the limit, I would definitely be able to attain a supreme Tao. Qin Dongtian slowly spoke. His Tao heart didn't waver. He still firmly believed that the absolute beginning Tao he cultivated was the ultimate Tao. You borrowed the power of the secret treasure you obtained, allowing you to surpass 9 astral souls and comprehend a unique ability, defeating me. However, this doesn't mean that you have won against me. I will eventually surpass you. Qin Dongtian continued. As the sound of his voice faded, his gaze grew increasingly resolute. Is that so? In that case, I'll wait for that day. The prerequisite is, can you get your father and the people of the Qin clan to disperse? Qin Wendian mocked. Qin Dongtian's eyes flashed. He glanced at Qin Jing but didn't say anything. The mockery in Qin Wentian's eyes grew even more intense. He coldly spoke, "Don't lie to yourself and others. If you were defeated, so be it. Why are you saying so many motivational words? After I was defeated, my father and the experts of your clan attacked me together, yet you still spoke of surpassing me in the future. You want to wait until the experts of your clan attacked me together and after I died? Is this heaven's son? Time will prove everything." Qin Dangtian spoke. His silhouette flashed as he left his original location, flying towards the Qin clan's ceremony stage. Although his gaze was resolute, there was a hint of dispiritedness in his heart. When he stared at the beautiful countenance of his fiancée, he felt some consolation in his heart. He stretched out his hand, wanting to hold Goddess Nichang's hand. This woman before him would become his wife. However, Goddess Nikhang didn't extend her hand. She took a small step back instead. Qin Dangtun frowned and called out, "Nikhang." Goddess Nikhang inclined her head. Her beautiful eyes stared at Qin Wenin in the air as she asked, "Did you challenge Qin Dangtun today because of me?" Qin Wenin started when he heard Goddess Nichang's question. After that, he smiled at her and nodded lightly, yes. He could choose any time to challenge Qin Dangtian, but he chose today precisely because he didn't wish to see Goddess Nikhang marrying Qin Dangtian. He wanted to put in some effort. If his efforts were useless, he could only sigh. At the very least, he had tried his best and had a clear conscience. The eyes of countless people froze as they stared at Qin Wenin and Goddess Nikhang. There were rumors regarding the two of them in the supreme ancient immortal realms. But now, Goddess Nikhang actually personally asked Qin Wenin and Qin Wenin actually admitted it. Those rumors were about to be verified. In such a situation, it was like a slap to the face of everyone. What should the Qin clan do? Heaven's son, where would his face go? The people of the Qin clan weren't in a hurry to deal with Qin Wenin. They were all staring at Goddess Nikhang with unsightly expressions. This was especially so for Qin Zheng and his wife. Their brows were tightly furrowed. "Nikhang, you will be the future mother of the Qin clan. How can you speak to a vile spawn of the Qin clan? Remember your status." Qin Zheng's wife spoke, reminding Goddess Nikhang. She was worried that Goddess Nikhang would say something she shouldn't say. "I know." Goddess Nikhang calmly spoke. She bowed to the experts of the Qin clan and said, "I've let down the Qin clan." The expressions of everyone froze. The experts of the Qin clan furrowed their brows even more. Qin Dangtian clenched his fists. He had a bad premonition. "Back then when I was cultivating in the Heaven Vault, I was once kidnapped and experienced some things. Hence, he came to look for me today. I know that I've let down the Qin clan. Let's forget about the marriage today." Goddess Nikhang calmly spoke. Cracking sounds rang out as green veins popped out on Qin Dongtian's fists. His expression was contorted. He just experienced a defeat and his state of heart was shaken. However, just when he steadied his heart, an even more ruthless blow landed on him. Before the eyes of everyone, before the wedding, Goddess Nikhang said that when she was kidnapped by Qin Wenin, something happened because Qin Wenin came to look for her and challenged the Heaven's Son. In that case, what happened? Was there anything that could strike a man even more? Not only for Qin Dangtian, countless people in the Qin clan also felt a great humiliation. Their expressions were all extremely unsightly. Today, their Qin clan invited everyone here to hold a grand wedding. But no one expected that they would experience such a melodramatic ending. The people from the various powers who came to offer their congratulations were all dumbfounded when they heard Goddess Nichang's words. Goddess Nikhang was already Qin Wentian's woman? This, awesome. Lin Xiao praised. His gaze was filled with admiration when he looked at Qin Wenin. In fact, there was even a hint of worship in his eyes. He glanced at the mystical maiden from the Nine Heavens mystical palace. The mystical maiden seemed to have sensed something and glared fiercely at Lin Xiao. This bastard actually dared to have such thoughts? Lin Xiao smiled. He knew that he was extremely audacious, but he was truly a little lacking when it came to this. Qin Wendian was truly a peak-tier character. Is this revenge against the Qin clan? Everyone silently mused. At that time, Goddess Nikhang was already Qin Wentian's fiancée. Yet, Qin Wenyan actually forced himself on her. Hatred, jealousy, worship, all sorts of gazes landed on Qin Wenyan. However, the Qin Wenyan at this moment also felt extremely depressed. This scapegoat he felt a little wronged. However, he was also extremely shocked in his heart. He basically didn't expect Goddess Nikhang to say such words. She was ruining her own reputation and her purpose was naturally to cancel the wedding. She actually had such determination. Since Goddess Nikhang already said this, it was impossible for the Qin clan to still want to marry her, right? Qin Wenyan bitterly smiled. He also didn't know what Goddess Nikhang was thinking about exactly. Nikhang, tell me this isn't true. Qin Wenyan stared at the figure before him. The number one beauty of the heaven region, the person who was originally going to become his wife, actually played such a huge joke on him. If you hate me, just kill me. Goddess Nikhang calmly spoke. Many cold gazes from the Qin clan landed on her beautiful face. There were some people who truly wanted to kill her. This was a humiliation that the Qin clan would never be able to erase. Today, the Qin clan was humiliated twice in a row. Within the Qin clan, a cold voice rang out. Killing Goddess Nikhang was useless and would only cause the Qin clan to lose even more face. In name, the Qin clan and deity Chu were friends. Goddess Nikhang was humiliated by Qin Wenyan. What did it count as if they killed Goddess Nikhang? Qin Wenyan. Upon thinking of this, numerous shocking auras bore down on Qin Wenyan. The hatred between them deepened once again. Chapter 1921. Extreme Humiliation. The Heaven's Sun was defeated. To the Qin clan, it was already extremely shameful. Goddess Nikhang, as the future matriarch of the Qin clan, was engaged to Qin Dangtian. But on the day of their wedding, such a thing actually spread out. What else could be more humiliating than what happened today? This was especially so for Qin Dangtian. The various hegemonic powers of the supreme ancient immortal realms all came to attend his wedding. He arrogantly said that he would kill Qin Wenyan first before holding the wedding. Now he was defeated. After that, his fiancée said such words. No matter how good Qin Dangtian's temperament was, he couldn't help but to waver. His handsome face contorted as he stood there unmoving. Goddess Nichang's expression was as cold as ever. A single word of "scram" rang out through the air. Although she had insulted the Qin clan, to Goddess Nikhang herself, wasn't she suffering a great humiliation when she said these words? She silently walked down the ceremonial platform and walked towards the exit of the Qin clan. Countless gazes landed on her. There were all sorts of strange gazes and there were even some who had dirty thoughts in their hearts. However, Goddess Nikhang didn't seem to have seen them. She continued walking forward calmly. Her back view was so beautiful yet so lonely. Qin Wenyan turned his gaze downwards, staring at that lonely back view. He actually felt a faint bitterness in his heart. He thought back to the beauty he once saw. In the world of reincarnation, under the rainbow, that dazzling smile. She should have been so radiant, but now, she was so despicable. Was this caused by him? If he didn't come today, her wedding with Qin Dangtian would be the focus of everyone's attention, becoming the object of envy of everyone. Was his decision right or wrong? He understood that Goddess Nikhang didn't care about her reputation because she had no other methods to destroy this marriage. This was something that she and Chu Shen agreed to. How could the marriage of the Qin clan be destroyed so easily? Hence, she chose to destroy her own reputation. She was lonely, no one knew what she was thinking in her heart. Chu Shen once said that this might be because she didn't have her parents by her side, causing her to have such a lonely personality. She didn't like to confide in others and would hide all her thoughts in her heart. The her at this moment, other than loneliness, there was also determination and stubbornness. The number one beauty of the heaven region, Goddess Nikhang, actually used such a method to end the wedding. How much courage did she need? Goddess Nikhang walked out of the Qin clan's entrance and walked into the distance step by step. However, she didn't leave. She found a place with no one around and inclined her head to stare at the sky, as though she wanted to see what would happen to the white-robed figure in the air. He wanted to stop this wedding. He didn't want her to marry Qin Dangtian. She did it, but what about him? In the face of such a situation, how could he escape? At this moment, Qin Wenyan truly felt the anger of the experts of the Qin clan. This was especially so for Qin Zheng and his wife. Their eyes burned with flames, wanting nothing more than to tear Qin Wenyan into a million pieces. In fact, they didn't even want to leave him alive. They only wanted to vent their anger. Qin Wenyan was their only son. He was Heaven's son and was their pride. But today, all of their pride was shattered by Qin Wenyan. They understood that from today onwards, Heaven's son would become the laughingstock of many people in the supreme ancient immortal realms. The Heaven's son was once so dazzling. Would Qin Wenyan be able to face all of this? Boom! In the air, the boundless space transformed into the divine punishment sky. The entire sky was covered by a golden divine formation, causing the sky to collapse and the earth to be destroyed. Even the vast Qin city seemed to be enveloped by it. There were countless people in Qin city. They inclined their heads and stared at the golden divine formation in the sky, feeling a stifling pressure. Seems like Qin Zheng has already been completely enraged. He was prepared to ignore the experts from the various peak powers and directly act against Qin Wenyan. Beams of light from the divine formation bore down, directly locking onto Qin Wentian's body. The millions and millions of territories around him were all covered. Where could he escape? This was a world-destroying divine formation, a true heavenly punishment. Who would be able to evade it? Qin Wenyan inclined his head and stared at the divine formation in the sky. His expression was cold. For heavenly deities, the heavenly Daos would naturally have differences in strength. Qin Zheng's comprehension of the heavenly Daos has already reached an extremely deep level. If not, how could he become the Qin clan leader, one of the peak characters in the supreme ancient immortal realms? Cripple him first. Beside Qin Zheng, his wife coldly spoke. Her resentment towards Qin Wenyan was extremely great. Her son had to endure such humiliation. As a mother, one could very well imagine how much hatred she had for Qin Wenyan. Qin clan leader, wouldn't you lose face by doing this? A voice rang out. The Qiankuan sect leader's figure suddenly appeared not far away from Qin Wenyan. A Qiankuan diagram appeared behind him as Qiankuan light flashed, blotting out the sky, enveloping this boundless space, including Qin Wenyan. If you obstruct me, don't blame me for being impolite. How could Qin Zheng give up? His heart to deal with Qin Wenyan would never waver. Many experts from the major powers were still spectating, feeling somewhat surprised that the Qiankuan sect leader would step out at the first instant. In truth, it didn't matter even if Qin Wenyan was crippled. It was fine as long as he was still alive. Their purpose was to prevent Qin Wenyan from obtaining the inheritance. Even if they crippled Qin Wenyan, it would be fine as long as they didn't allow the Qin clan to devour Qin Wenyan. There was no need for them to fight against Qin Zheng for the sake of Qin Wenyan. How many years has it been since we fought against each other? Back then when we were still young, we fought against each other. I truly wish to spar against you again. The Qiankuan sect leader laughed. Clearly, he and Qin Zheng grew up in the same generation. Right now, both of them stood at the peak of the supreme ancient immortal realms, becoming a clan leader and a sect leader respectively. Since this is the case, I will grant you your wish. Boundless divine punishment energy rained down from the sky. Golden bolts of lightning ignored the distance between them and landed on the location where Qin Wenyan and the Qiankuan sect leader were at, wanting to make this space vanish from this world. Behind the Qiankuan sect leader, Qiankuan light shone resplendently, shielding him and Qin Wenyan. A supreme Tao might erupted forth as he coldly spoke, Qiankuan reversal. As the sound of his voice faded, boundless divine punishment energy rained down. After that, it actually flowed against the current, heading towards the divine formation in the sky, causing the divine formation to explode. Everyone felt as though the sky was about to explode. The Qiankuan sect was different from the Qin clan. The Qin clan was proficient in all sorts of Daos. Qin Zheng and Qin Dangtian were father and son, hence, the Daos they cultivated were different. But for the people of the Qiankuan sect, they all cultivated the same Tao. This was the Qiankuan Grand Tao. They felt that the Qiankuan Grand Tao was the ultimate Tao, able to unify the universe. This was also the origin of the name Qiankuan sect. Naturally, although everyone eventually comprehended the Qiankuan Grand Tao, because everyone's cultivation base was different and their astral souls were different, the process of their comprehension would be different. In the end, the might of their Tao would also be different. The Qiankuan sect leader had clearly cultivated the Qiankuan Grand Tao to a terrifying degree. He could use Qiankuan reversal at will, causing Qin Zheng's divine punishment energy to be unable to land on him. Qin Zheng stared at the Qiankuan sect leader's tyrannical strength. His expression was incomparably cold. He suddenly felt some doubt. Why did the Qiankuan sect leader want to protect Qin Wenyan? Was his purpose really because he didn't want him to obtain Qin Wenyan? Also, Qin Wenyan came here today to challenge his son. Could it be that the Qiankuan sect leader didn't have any path of retreat? Even though he knew he would die for sure, he still wanted to fight? For a beautiful woman. Even if he truly had a relationship with Goddess Nikhang, it didn't seem to be a life-and-death relationship. If not, Goddess Nikhang wouldn't have waited until now to break the engagement. Since this was the case, why would Qin Wendian send himself to death just to stop this wedding? At this moment, within the Qin clan, a terrifying might gushed forth. It was like the person who spoke the word, scram, earlier. This aura enveloped the entire sky, causing the people from the various peak powers to feel a sense of pressure. Their gazes turned to the Qin clan. This person should be none other than Qin Ding, right? Everyone originally came here to attend the wedding. Now that such a situation has occurred, the wedding will naturally be cancelled. The descendants of my Qin clan will only marry clean women. Qin Ding coldly spoke. His voice was extremely impolite, even insulting Goddess Nikhang. Many people turned their gazes to Goddess Nikhang, who was far away, only to see that she had no expression on her face after hearing this. As for Qin Wenyan, everyone has already seen what he did to my Qin clan. Give this old man some face and hand Qin Wenyan over to my Qin clan. In the future, when the heaven vault opens, the Qin clan won't monopolize it. We will allow all the peak powers of the supreme ancient immortal realms to enter it for cultivation. How about it? Qin Ding continued, wanting everyone to give him face. Qin Wenyan would be handed over to the Qin clan. But he promised that after he obtained the heaven vault, he would allow everyone to enter it for cultivation. Everyone didn't want to agree. After all, the current Qin Wenyan not only had the secret of the heaven vault, he also had 12 astral souls. How did he do it exactly? But in truth, many people also understood that if they fought for it, their strength would only be damaged and a war would break out in the supreme ancient immortal realms. It would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens for any power wanting to monopolize Qin Wenyan. The Qin clan clearly understood this logic. Hence, the Qin clan didn't want to monopolize the heaven vault. But they wanted Qin Wenyan. Since Senior Qin has spoken, I naturally have no objections. An expert from a peak power spoke. This expert was from a hegemonic power in the Chaos region. He also understood that this place was the Qin clan, and with Qin Ding present, if they really wanted to fall out with the Qin clan and obstruct the Qin clan from dealing with Qin Wenyan, things wouldn't end well for them. Hence, they might as well use this chance to give Qin Ding face. If Qin Wenyan really landed in the hands of the Qin clan, I'm afraid it's very hard for us to know whether they obtained the secret of the heaven vault or not. It's better for everyone to control the heaven vault together. That would be more suitable. The Qiankuan sect leader calmly spoke, the first to object to Qin Ding's suggestion. Qin Wenyan, what promise did he give you exactly? Did he allow you to enter the heaven vault for cultivation? Qin Zheng suddenly spoke, staring at the Qiankuan sect leader. At this moment, countless gazes landed on the Qiankuan sect leader. All of them had looks of suspicion in their eyes. No wonder Qin Zheng would ask this, suspecting the Qiankuan sect leader. His behavior today was indeed somewhat abnormal. He kept protecting Qin Wenyan. This wasn't normal. Could it be that Qin Wendian and the Qiankuan sect leader had secretly come to an agreement? Chapter 1922. Qin Wendian and the Qiankuan sect leader naturally wouldn't reply. The Qiankuan sect leader continued, "No matter what, Qin Wendian mustn't land in the hands of your Qin clan. If not, all his secrets would be in the hands of the Qin clan. If that's the case, it would be much more difficult for us to obtain the secrets of the supreme ancient immortal realms from Qin Wendian." The hearts of everyone wavered when they heard the Qiankuan sect leader's words. His words weren't without logic. Although Qin Ding promised that if he obtained the secrets of the Heaven Vault, he would open the Heaven Vault for all the hegemonic powers to share, how trustworthy was his words? Before immense benefits, no amount of words could be trusted. Once the Qin clan reneged on their words, it would be much more difficult for them to threaten the Qin clan compared to threatening Qin Wendian. The strength of the Qin clan was clearly much stronger compared to the Heaven Vault. Hence, the Qiankuan sect leader's worries weren't wrong. "According to what you said, shouldn't we hand Qin Wendian over to your Qiankuan sect?" A cold voice rang out from the Qin clan once more. There were traces of anger in the tone. "Just like how I don't trust the Qin clan, I believe the Qin clan wouldn't trust my Qiankuan sect as well." The Qiankuan sect leader calmly spoke. "Qin Wendian, why don't you agree to open the Heaven Vault and allow everyone to enter for cultivation? Maybe there would still be a chance of survival." Qiankuan sect leader, do you think that there's still a chance to resolve the hatred between me and the Qin clan? Qin Wendian smiled. "I have a good suggestion. Since everyone is here today, why don't you help me to raise the Qin clan to flat ground to resolve the worries in my heart? After the Qin clan is destroyed, I will open the Heaven Vault and allow everyone to enter for cultivation. How about it?" Qin Wendian's words caused the expressions of the people from the Qin clan to freeze. Their gazes grew colder when they stared at him. He actually wanted to incite the experts of the supreme ancient immortal realms to join forces against the Qin clan? The eyes of the experts flashed as they glanced at the Qin clan. Although they were tempted, they were still filled with trepidation if they really did this. For ordinary heavenly deities, they would be able to hold them back. However, the Qin clan had a few extremely powerful heavenly deities that they wouldn't be able to hold back. Hence, it was much simpler to deal with Qin Wendian. Moreover, who would dare to take the lead? That would be equivalent to shedding all pretense of cordiality with the Qin clan. "Your idea is wonderful." An indifferent voice was heard as an extremely beautiful silhouette stepped out. Her long dress fluttered in the wind, she was breathtakingly beautiful. It was the number one celestial of the 9 heavens, the goddess of the 9 heavens. Many people in Qin City stared at the silhouette as their thoughts ran wild. However, that was the Empyrean fairy. They could only keep their thoughts to themselves. No one could have her. "Since we can't reach a consensus, how about handing over Qin Wendian to me?" The 9 heavens mystical maiden spoke. Even the number one immortal in the 9 heavens couldn't resist the temptation of the Heaven Vault and wanted to fight for it. "That's a beautiful thought," Qin Zheng's wife said faintly. Although they were both exceedingly beautiful women, she had a natural hostility towards the number one deity of the 9 heavens secular world. "Since none of you are willing to spare him, it's simple then. Cripple his cultivation first and force him to reveal the secret of the Heaven Vault in front of everyone. Are you all satisfied with this?" Qin Ding spoke again, his voice thundered through the air. Many people nodded silently. This was a good idea. Whether Qin Wendian was crippled or not, it didn't matter to them. Qin Wendian laughed. "If I'm crippled, do you all think I would still be alive? Why don't I just die? Since none of you are willing to accept my first suggestion, I'll give you all another suggestion. There's no need for you all to destroy the Qin clan. As long as you all escort me to the Heaven Vault, I will open the Heaven Vault and allow all the major powers to enter for cultivation. Only the Qin clan is not allowed to enter. What do you all think about this suggestion?" The eyes of the experts flashed. An expert stared at Qin Wendian. "You won't play any tricks?" "I'm right here. Everyone just follow me." "How can I play any tricks?" Qin Wendian replied. Many people felt their hearts stirring. This suggestion wasn't bad. They didn't need to deal with the Qin clan, they only needed to protect Qin Wendian from death and bring him to the Heaven Vault. Senior Qin Ding should have heard it. Seems like Qin Wendian mustn't be crippled by the Qin clan. The Qinkuan sect leader spoke. The Nine Heavens mystical maiden's silhouette flashed as though she was prepared to act at any moment. She then spoke, "I accept this suggestion." Entering the Heaven Vault for cultivation was their goal. As for Qin Wendian, they didn't have any deep grudges with him. Is this the reason why Qin Wendian dared to come to the Qin clan? Many people silently mused. He actually wanted to use the strength of experts from the supreme ancient immortal realms to block the Qin clan for him. This was a good idea, but did Qin Wendian really intend to open the Heaven Vault for this? What if I say that my Qin clan wants Qin Wendian for sure? Qin Ding's voice grew colder and colder. Today, if the Qin clan allowed Qin Wendian to leave safely, it would be a great humiliation for them. Qin Wendian provoked the Qin clan on the day of Qin Dongtian's wedding, but he still chose to leave calmly. What did the Qin clan count for? In addition, he said that he would allow the hegemonic powers of the supreme ancient immortal realms to enter the Heaven Vault with the exception of the Qin clan. If this was the case, wouldn't the Qin clan be the biggest loser? How could they agree to this? Senior, you are making things difficult for us. The Qinkuan sect leader replied. As his voice fell, the suffocating pressure became even stronger. Terrifying rays of light and darkness flickered in the sky and flowed in the sky. More and more of them appeared until they covered the entire sky. In the Qin clan, a heaven-shaking pressure gushed forth. With a boom, the hearts of everyone trembled as they felt a pressure that came from the depths of their souls. This heavenly might was too powerful. There seemed to be a primordial ferocious beast in the Qin clan. The entire space was incomparably stifling. Finally, in the airspace above the Qin clan, a figure walked out. His expression was calm, but it seemed to contain a heaven-shaking might. He casually took a step forward, yet he gave off an incomparably heavy feeling. In his hands, there was a strange-looking halberd. Light and darkness revolved around the halberd. Around him, the will of light and darkness were like numerous divine dragons spiraling around him. The halberd radiated a heaven-destroying pressure. The Judgment Halberd. The hearts of countless people trembled. Earlier, they were still wavering because of Qin Wendian's words and wanted to interfere, bringing Qin Wendian away safely. But now, all of them had the intention to retreat. Qin Ding of the Qin clan was enraged. The halberd in his hands caused everyone to recall a rumor regarding the Qin clan. An ancestor of the Qin clan had an extremely high cultivation base. He was the one who established the Qin clan for many years. It was said that he pursued a supreme Tao but ultimately failed. Hence, he infused the remnants of his life force into a divine weapon that had always followed him. He used his life force to forge this divine weapon and passed it down to the descendants of the Qin clan, becoming this Judgment Halberd. Qin Ding's strength was already terrifying. Now, he appeared with the Judgment Halberd in his hands. One could very well imagine how angry he was right now. Today, the Qin clan suffered all sorts of humiliation. Yet, Qin Wendian actually wanted to make use of the various powers to deal with the Qin clan. Since his son Qin Jing had no way to suppress everyone, he could only step out himself. Qin Wendian, leave him to my Qin clan. After the secret of the Heaven Vault is unraveled, I will naturally allow all of you to enter for cultivation. Who dares to question my decision? Qin Ding coldly spoke. This time around, his tone was extremely domineering. Since words were useless, he might as well use the most direct method. Force. Today, although the experts of the supreme ancient immortal realms gathered here, in truth, there was still a disparity in strength between these peak powers. For example, although the three hegemonic powers of the desolate region have already dispersed, the disparity between them and the hegemonic powers of the heaven region was still too great. Right now, the strongest expert of the Qin clan, Qin Ding, walked out with rage and the Judgment Halberd in his hands. Who would dare to say anything? Senior, Are you trying to force us to agree? The Qinkuan sect leader spoke. Although he was the Qinkuan sect leader and his status was extremely high, Qin Ding could be considered his senior. He was of the same generation as Qin Zheng. There's no need to hide anymore. Since you are here, just come out. Qin Wenin, what promise did he give you? Qin Ding coldly spoke, turning his gaze towards the horizons. The eyes of many heavenly deities flashed. There was actually someone else here? Also, it seemed that even Qin Ding regarded this person with importance. They didn't even notice him. Qin Ding, you are still as domineering as ever. A voice rang out. After that, an old man walked over from afar. Every step he took caused the space around him to tremble. Many heavenly deities stared at this old man. They had never seen him before. The beautiful eyes of the 9 heavens mystical maiden froze. She didn't expect that even this old man would come here. This old man was none other than the Qinkuan sect leader of the previous generation. He was also the master of the Qinkuan sect leader. It has been so many years, you haven't died yet? Qin Ding coldly spoke. You are still alive and well. How can I die? The old sect leader laughed loudly. He stared at the judgment halberd in Qin Ding's hands. To deal with some juniors, you actually used this divine weapon? There are people who don't want my Qin clan to be happy. I'm naturally unhappy. Qin Ding spoke. After that, he turned his gaze downwards again. I've already said everything I need to say. Qin Zheng, capture that vile spawn. If there's anyone who dares to obstruct me, don't blame me for being impolite. Yes, father. Qin Zheng nodded. The divine punishment light flashed once more, incomparably resplendent. Numerous chains of punishment directly shot towards Qin Wenin. There was no need to waste any more words. His father has already appeared with the judgment halberd in his hands. Everything was already set in stone. A black cudgel appeared in Qin Wentian's hand. His expression was extremely unsightly to behold. Qin Ding's strength seemed to have exceeded his expectations. A single sentence from Qin Ding was enough to intimidate everyone. Even heavenly deities didn't dare to act recklessly. Right now, it seemed that only the Qinkuan sect could help him block the Qin clan. Rumble! Qin Wentian's body grew larger. The black rod in his hands grew larger as well. He stood in the air, resembling a true heavenly deity. Since they wanted to fight, he might as well fight with all his might. Chapter 1923. The old sect master took a step out and walked towards Qin Ding. You are already so old, yet you are still so hot-tempered. Looks like you still want to interfere. Since that's the case, let's see how strong your immeasurable Dharma body is now. Qin Ding coldly spoke. He was like a god king, wielding the judgment halberd and stabbing forward. In an instant, the wind and clouds in the sky changed color. Boundless light and darkness shot towards the old sect leader, transforming into the power of yin and yang. The boundless body of the old sect leader appeared. The power of heaven and earth was all under his control. One after another, the formation of heaven and earth shot out towards Qin Ding. The halberd of judgment in Qin Ding's hand stabbed out, directly piercing the Qinkuan formation. In an instant, the power of light and darkness shattered it, and the yin and yang qi absorbed it, causing the power within to merge into the halberd of judgment. The power of light and darkness that emanated from the tip of the halberd of judgment seemed to become stronger. The old sect leader stared at Qin Ding. This treasure was still so powerful. Of course, even without the judgment halberd, Qin Ding's strength was still extremely strong. Although the old sect leader was here now, it was hard to say if he could stop Qin Ding. Countless heaven and earth matrix diagrams blotted out the sky and covered the sky as they rushed towards Qin Ding. Qin Ding's expression was as calm as ever as he calmly stabbed out with the judgment halberd in his hand. Every time he stabbed out, he would disintegrate all the attacks and absorb the energy within, causing the judgment halberd to grow stronger and stronger. The light and darkness energy released from it seemed to be able to tear a hole in the sky. Moreover, Qin Ding's attack was not fancy at all. It was simple and direct, but it was also overbearing. It was as if he had returned to his true self. The power of light and darkness wreaked havoc in the sky, akin to bolts of lightning flashing past unceasingly. Everywhere it passed by, everything would be destroyed. Most likely, even a heavenly deity would find it hard to endure this level of power. The cosmos diagram behind the old sect leader revolved crazily, turning the world upside down. It transformed into a heavenly Tao vortex that enveloped the cosmos. For a moment, the entire sky seemed to be engulfed by it. The sky darkened and the earth darkened. Boundless particles flowed in reverse as the cosmos was reversed. This scene was too terrifying. Those who watched the battlefield felt as if the end of the world had arrived. In another battlefield, a divine formation appeared behind Qin Wenyin. The light of divine punishment enveloped everything. However, the Qinkuan sect leader actually stood before Qin Wenyin. Clearly, he wanted to interfere in this matter. "You deal with him. Leave that bastard to me." Qin Zheng's wife spoke. Qin Zheng nodded his head. His wife, the mother of the Qin clan, wasn't a vase character. Back then, her talent was already outstanding and Qin Yuanfeng had once fallen in love with her when he was young. Now, her strength was also extremely strong and she had divine weapons and treasures on her. However, at that moment, the Empyrean fairy took a step forward and appeared there as well. "Are you going to interfere as well?" Qin Zheng's wife stared at the Empyrean fairy. The Empyrean fairy didn't say anything and just stood there calmly. This was already a clear indication of her attitude. The eyes of many heavenly deities from the peak powers flashed. In such a situation where Qin Ding was so domineering, the Qinkuan sect and Nine Heavens Mystical Palace still wanted to protect Qin Wenyin. All of them could sense that there was definitely a transaction behind this. Maybe Qin Zheng's guess was right. Qin Wenyin might have promised them something. If not, why would they protect Qin Wenyin? Seems like today when Qin Wenyin came to the Qin clan to disrupt the wedding, he came prepared. He didn't come here to die. At this moment, the boundless divine punishment chains directly shot towards Qin Wenyin. However, Qin Wenyin only saw Qin Wenyin lifting the gigantic black cudgel and smashing it towards the divine punishment formation in the sky. In an instant, the divine punishment formation shuddered violently. Qin Zheng's body shuddered as well as he felt his soul being attacked. Numerous heavenly deities from the Qin clan stepped out. In an instant, the sky changed color as terrifying Tao arts blasted towards Qin Wenyin. In the air, a deity-level battle erupted. "You want to cripple me?" Qin Wenyin coldly spoke. He stepped out and soared through the air, directly appearing before a heavenly deity from the Qin clan. The god-slaying cudgel transcended space-time, its speed reaching an inconceivable extent as it smashed towards that heavenly deity. The current Qin Wenyin was someone who could defeat Heaven's son Qin Dangtian. Even in the Qin clan, there weren't many people who could deal with him now. That heavenly deity lifted his palms and blasted out. His palms contained the Tao, wanting to shatter the void. The god-slaying cudgel smashed down. That heavenly deity felt as though he was struck by lightning. His hair stood on end as his soul trembled. Rumble! Another cudgel smashed down. Qin Wentian's speed was incomparably fast, transcending space-time. But at this moment, a treasured light flashed as an incomparably resplendent treasured armor appeared, blocking before Qin Wentian's god-slaying cudgel. When the god-slaying cudgel slammed into the treasured armor, a thunderous boom rang out. The treasured armor flew back as Qin Dangtian's figure appeared there, catching the myriad law armor. Right now, Qin Dangtian had already struggled out from the humiliation earlier. Although it was impossible for his state of heart to not be affected, at the very least, he had to take down Qin Wenyin first. A peak-level heavenly deity wouldn't be defeated so easily and wouldn't even be able to see the situation clearly. "A loser still dares to fight me?" Qin Wenyin stared at Qin Dangtian in disdain, his eyes gleaming with arrogance. Such a gaze caused Qin Dangtian to feel extremely uncomfortable in his heart. However, Qin Wenyin did this intentionally, wanting to defeat the Heaven's son of the Qin clan. How arrogant was he? Qin Wenyin crippled his uncle, the Sky Order heavenly deity. He wanted to let Qin Wendian know what humiliation was. Behind him, dimensional storms appeared once more. Dimensional spacetime Tao manifested as a terrifying black hole storm that seemed capable of devouring everything. Qin Wendian was surrounded by countless ancient words. These ancient words danced in the air and entered the dimensional space, vanishing without a trace. However, the heavenly deities in the surroundings didn't dare to be careless. This son of the traitor of the Qin clan, Qin Yuanfeng, was truly terrifying now. He was even more terrifying compared to back then when Qin Yuanfeng himself stepped into the Qin clan. Also, this time around he wasn't alone. He had the Qiankuan sect and Nine Heavens mystical palace supporting him. Clearly, he didn't want to repeat the mistakes of his father. Kill! As the sound of Qin Wentian's voice faded, those ancient characters directly appeared from the dimensional black hole near the heavenly deities. They transformed into a terrifying space-time sword Tao energy, wanting to destroy everything. Daos within Daos, each ancient character contained a Tao art within it. Also, they didn't attack a single person, they attacked the heavenly deities of the Qin clan. Although some of the heavenly deities of the Qin clan were extremely ancient existences, some were even older than Qin Ding, their strength was clearly inferior to Qin Ding and Qin Zheng. If not, how could the position of the Qin clan lord be passed to Qin Zheng? Only the strongest expert who surpassed the ancestors would be able to control a clan. Qin Dangtian released his absolute beginning astral soul. His absolute beginning astral soul frenziedly manifested, devouring the space-time sword Tao energy. Although he was defeated by Qin Wendian, there was no need to doubt his own strength. He was extremely powerful. In that case, let's attack together. Qin Wendian glanced at Qin Dangtian and the heavenly deities of the Qin clan. A dimensional storm gushed towards one of the heavenly deities, wanting to annihilate everything. That heavenly deity concentrated his divine imprint to defend, but at this moment, within the terrifying dimensional storm, a black cudgel suddenly appeared, bringing with it an incomparable might as it smashed down. In an instant, that heavenly deity's soul trembled. He only felt that his body wasn't his own anymore. Careful! A heavenly deity at the side shouted. The dimensional storm swept towards him, wanting to devour him. However, another heavenly deity beside him moved with lightning speed, bringing him away, evading this sure kill attack. The god-slaying cudgel directly tunneled into another dimension, vanishing without a trace. However, the other heavenly deities all grew more cautious, wary of that black cudgel. A battle between heavenly deities. In Qin City, countless people stared at the sky, staring at the scene of destruction. The sky was covered by destructive light, causing darkness to shine everywhere. The experts currently fighting were all heavenly deities. How long has it been since a deity-level battle of this level occurred in the supreme ancient immortal realms? Below, several experts soared up into the air, rushing towards the battlefield in the sky. A thunderous roar rang out, shaking the heavens and earth. In the air, an incomparably gigantic Kuei ox appeared. This Kuei ox wielded a fearsome divine ox spear, piercing through the air as it sped towards Qin Wendian. Spatial storms from different dimensions gushed over, but they were all destroyed by the spear, causing Qin Wendian to furrow his brows. The ox chieftain has acted. The hearts of everyone trembled. The grudge between the divine ox clan and Qin Wendian was very deep. It wasn't easy for the divine ox clan to wait until now to act. But if this was the case, Qin Wendian would be in danger. Upon seeing this scene, another expert soared into the air. This person was very young and his countenance was very pale. Boundless gray energy circulated around him, transforming into a terrifying head that was prepared to act at any moment. Ziwei Divine Court, Yu Changkong. The crowd trembled again. Although the Qiankuan sect and Nine Heavens mystical palace wanted to protect Qin Wendian, there were even more people who wanted him dead. The demon gods of the divine ox clan, in addition to Yu Changkong, Qin Dangtian and the heavenly deities of the Qin clan. No matter how heaven-defying Qin Wendian was, he most probably wouldn't be able to survive. Qin Wentian's silhouette flashed as he hid in a dimensional space, instantly retreating to an extremely far distance. He stared at the heavenly deities rushing over. The situation was extremely disadvantageous to him. We mustn't let him leave. Below, the experts from the other major powers also couldn't sit still. Although they initially wanted to watch the show, Qin Wenyan still had to stay behind. He was the controller of the Heaven Vault. Numerous figures soared into the air. It was like the actions of the Divine Ox clan and Yu Changkong had caused a chain reaction. All the experts couldn't sit still any longer. Chi! In the dark sky, an incomparably resplendent beam of light suddenly shot out. A terrifying beam of sword light slashed the sky apart. After that, within the beam of light, a terrifying gigantic beast soared through the air. It was a Kuan Peng, and it was none other than the Kuan Sovereign. On the back of the Kuan Sovereign, there were several heavenly deities. Luo Shenchuan, the Dragon Sovereign, and the Heaven-Devouring Demon Sovereign were all here. Other than them, there was also Jian Junlai. Earlier, that heaven-splitting sword strike was slashed out by Jian Junlai. When the experts of the Qin clan left the Boundless Sea region for the wedding, Qin Wendian made a trip back to the Heaven Vault and even visited a few other places. This was why the deities' battle today was held. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.